Welcome to the Bob and Tam Show today. It is Sunday. Oh, what the heck day it is? What, 22nd of March? 23rd of March. Holy
We're in
Jennifer.
spring and it's nice and warm out.
So we're at 87 degrees here in beautiful Arizona. Turn our phones down. Phone all cranky.
There you go.
All right, so you can welcome everybody out before I can get going here.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. I see a couple people are on already. Neil's back. Oh, no, that's XAM Biker. Did you ever put your entry in? We've got some ways to go away to spring fling. You might win. I don't think I've seen your name come up yet for Rally. Mike was on earlier from Country Garage. Check XAM Biker's channel out and Country Garage's channel out. Neil was on earlier. Shared it with us. How many people? Come on. Hope you all had a good Sunday. They're just out. Did a whole lot today. Got something to eat. Set up everything. We're out at the shop today. So we're not at home. It's warm today, but it's still not cool in the garage, but it's not hot in the garage. During the next couple weeks, popped on. Janice back. I'm glad. I've been in my prayers, you and your son. So I hope everything's going as well as possible. And out Sunday. Oh, is that Ray?
Okay. Brad.
Very last one.
Our
That's a
internet.
second.
Fix your phones. Be on the good internet in-house.
Wayne's on now. Hey, Wayne, how you doing?
So it's going to get loud and squealy here.
Pictures there for a minute. Back of the.
We'll run through the list and then we will see what everybody's got going on. But we're going to talk about the two giveaways that we got going on. I'm going to go through those real quick because we want to make sure people know about the. So we still have two giveaways that we're trying to get rid of in the next 2 months. Trying to get some people to want to win this. So first off, we have a trip to the Spring Fling, which is April 23rd through the 27th. The event actually starts on the 24th, but on the 23rd, you could already get there. We're going to give away $500 gas card, free accommodations by Camp Easy Ride, and the camping's going to be at the Ozark Thunder Campground. So it's going to be really cool, a lot of excitement. They got bands, all kinds of stuff going on, and we're going to be giving this away. So probably in the next week or two, we're going to actually pull the winner, and what you have to do is just send us an email at Bob and Tam's.
Do that. They said my mic is cutting out real bad. I moved it closer to me.
You got the good cord.
No. So how is that? Is that any better? My sound, is that any better? For a couple, like 3 people said my mic was cutting in and out. You guys are cutting in. I guess both of us. Is that on our network? I don't know then. Sound is in and out. Sound is in and out. And I'm not a farmer today.
Keep the
So Neil says yes. Says 5 by 5. XAM Biker says better yes. Okay. I guess it's better now. Excuse me, Neil hit the wrong key. Oh.
Okay. So we the other giveaway that we want to talk about is our military giveaway.
Bob is,
which we're giving away a 2003 Harley Davidson Softail to a current Marine in the USA. So if you're into that, the drawing is going to be on April 25th. We'd let you know probably a week ahead of time that you are the winner. We do have some entries already, not a whole lot. I got about a dozen. So if you know anybody that is a U.S. Marine that would be interested in a free motorcycle, and it's put on by the Cat House Saloon and also through
Dark Thunder Campground,
Yep.
which is in Berryville.
and the reason
Arkansas.
we're doing the Marine is his grandson is actually in the U.S. Marines. So that's kind of why he wanted to kind of do this. He's thinking about on bikes, blues, and barbecue. If we get enough response here from this, that he would like to give one a used bike to every branch of the U.S. service. So that'd be kind of cool. And we'd be more involved with that because we'd be there. So a lot of people are thinking we are going to bring bling. We are not. That's the same time Leesburg is, and we already had that all set up. This year, things are kind of moving around. They're going to think about maybe moving that. Last year, they actually had it between Leesburg and Panama City. But this year, Leesburg, Panama City almost run back to back, same weekends, one weekend after another weekend. I don't know who moved it. I don't know
I
if
know, I think
Leesburg
it
moved
used
up
to be
forward.
that one time when we were gonna go, it was the weekend before Leesburg. So we were gonna have to bust our butts to hurry up and get back. That's why we didn't go, because we thought we were gonna be driving. And if we had the trailer and everything, so we're gonna have to drive all the way out there, go for 3 days, and then hurry up and drive all the way back to get back in time for. That's why we didn't go. So that I'm pretty sure that was the weekend before Leesburg. And I guess now they say depending on um Easter and when all that falls, that's why they have it when they have it. So now it's gonna be exactly the same week as Leap.
So this year we're not going to be, depending on how they change things around. I don't know sometimes it ends up being it's Easter affects it, and nobody wants to have a bike event over Easter weekend. They can help it. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that'll go. So here's just a quick list of what we're going to kind of talk about
Hello,
tonight. We're going to
Jeffy's in
talk
the house.
about Arizona Bike Week. We're going to talk about Panama City, Thunder Beach Rally. We're going to talk about Myrtle Beach Bike Week. We're going to talk about Sturgis, give you some more details about what we've got planned. We're also going to talk, I have some other things that are on the list too. So we'll see how it all goes, depending on what you guys want to talk about and see what's happening. I'm going to kind of not to maybe talk about some of the things you guys might want to talk about.
Hi to Jeffy. Jeffy's on.
Jeff is in the house.
He said, move over, scoot over. Jeff's here. Art's on again. Hey, I said hi to you earlier. Art, Sam's card.
So what we've got going on, I've got some videos I'm working on.
That's
Actually,
Steven.
Tam's bike, we're putting new handlebars on it. And the problem ran into it that the brake line is a little different on the 2015 than what it was on the 2007. So I'm not able to turn it to get it to fit properly. So we need to get a longer one. So I've ordered a brake line. I paid for overnight delivery. And the next thing you know, they didn't show up I ordered Thursday, expected it on Wednesday night, I guess I ordered it. And I figured, they probably won't get it out, but they'll get it out on Thursday. So Friday I should get it. Well, it didn't. Ordered it from JP Cycles.
Thank you, Jeff.
Paid $40 to have it sent overnight delivery. And so I write them and they're like, oh, we're sorry. The warehouse we send it to doesn't have overnight delivery available. Well, why do you, which I should have just called Daytona and ordered it through the Daytona store, because the other part that we ordered, what else did we?
My brake thing.
Oh, no.
Pedal. The lever.
What? Oh, the handlebars. The handlebars were shipped out on Monday and we got them on Tuesday this week. So they could do overnight. So probably if you're ordering from different companies like that, sometimes you might be better off contacting a store to see where it's in stock and who it is. So we got a super chat from somebody.
Yep, from Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. We're sure you got some fancy music to play for Jeff.
No, I have to go back and look. I didn't download a bunch of songs. Oh, we could do applause. Hey, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
There you go.
Appreciate that, Jeff. It's always appreciated.
Yes.
And I was just checking to see how we sound.
Figured out super chat.
And so it's so I've been working on that. So we're waiting for the brake line now, or the brake cable is not supposed to get here till like Tuesday of next week. So this is the greatest weather we could be out riding. The veteran bike that we got, the 98 Fat Boy. You want to say Fat Boy Low because that's what she had. Fat Boy Street Stalker. We got license plates. Well, we got a sticker right now, or a paper plate, if we get a plate. So what do you think? There's my first question for you guys out there today. Do you think
would
we
know.
should take it to
How are you?
Arizona Bike Week and do some riding with it? Now, she's always going to be riding on her bike because it's only a single up seat. I got no place to put any gear or nothing like that. But would it be worth taking it out and doing some test riding with it? I actually thought, I don't know if I can get them quick enough or not. Some business cards made up that says, hey, we're going to start giving away motorcycles to veterans. And a lot of people are talking about how is that going to happen? We're going to talk about that maybe tonight too, how we're going to set that up. One, we got to get everything taken care of. We've contacted 3 companies, I guess Tam's contacted about getting us a speedometer and a new wiring harness. They have not responded, but I mean, she did it on Friday, so I wasn't expecting Saturday or Sunday having to
Probably
respond to
not,
us.
no.
So we'll see what they do next week. The next thing we were going to do is
Neil says, sure.
see if the problem is I already had one of you guys, I don't know, I don't know what name was, offered a speedometer they took off of their bike, but it's really persistent that it has to be within just a couple of years there that actually is the same universal speedometer. Everything else is aftermarket. You got to get different wiring harnesses and things like that to hook in. I'm not looking, I was looking at digital gauges, and they've got one you can get an oil gauge, temperature gauge, all this stuff. You got to run all those sensors, you got to put them all in and stuff. And I'm not looking to go to all the trouble. Just way more work, more stuff for people to look at, more things to go wrong. I just want to get another speedometer on there with an odometer. So we could see how many miles on this bike.
How many miles he's going, how fast he's going.
Yeah, that would always be nice.
So Neil and Jeff both said yes, take it to Arizona.
So we're kicking that around, and be a good way to take it out, test drive it, and see if there's anything else wrong with it. We're gonna do a video next week. Amsoil Adam sent us out a box with some oil and some filter and stuff in there. We'll be changing. I think on that one there's only 2 holes: transmission, regular engine oil.
Primary?
And I don't think primary, but I'm seeing it's an Evo motor. I haven't really done a lot of work on an Evo motor, and so I watched a video the other morning, or actually this morning, they showed me where the little drain plug is. Drain plug for the transmission is kind of hidden. Oh, it's hard to get to. I think it's works to get it out. So got that all. That'll be a video next week. I'm probably going to do that maybe Monday or Tuesday, and then that video. Right now, I got 2 videos coming out Monday and Tuesday, already done, ready to go. For you guys to check out. Not any long videos. So if you're interested in just watching, an 8-9 minute video, those 2 are falling. So that's kind of exciting. So we got that we've been working on. The chopper is not going to get anything done to it right now. The starter locked up in it. It wasn't the engine. I kind of was able to kick it over a little bit. But I'm going to have to get a starter. I'm going to have to pull it all apart. Possibly when we get back from Arizona Bike Week, I jump into that. Pull the cylinders off and pull the starter out of it and send all that off. Well, the starter won't send off. I'm just going to buy a high torque starter. Just so I don't know where they put the starter came from. If it came from a used bike, I don't know I'm off of. So I'd rather just get a new one and be done with it. That's my bike. And then hopefully we'll have that running. I don't know if I want to drag it to Sturgis or not. I don't know. Because right now my bike's not on the trail. Bike's not here. It's still in Florida. So it won't be back. We won't see it until Leesburg. So that's why we only got her bike right now to ride. We had the extra room in the trailer. We could take something else. Campgrounds we're staying at's not big enough for take the golf cart and all that. So I don't know if anybody be interested in the Bob and Tam golf cart. Being the way rallies are right now, we're not taking the trailer out no more. So we're only bringing it out. We're doing it for Arizona Bike Week, and we're also going to use it for Sturgis. But other than that, we don't really need the golf cart anymore. It's just sitting. Actually, the battery's gone dead again. So I got to get another battery for it. And so it sat too long. I should have disconnected it, and I forgot all about it. And ran a couple months ago. I don't know if something came on and drained it. I don't know. What's Neil got?
That he's going to be after the first. He's going to be at his place, which I don't think has a lot of amenities. So he said we'll have to keep him up to date. And live there summer.
Didn't have any electricity as a generator. He doesn't don't even have running water. I'm assuming.
No, because he had to.
Well, he might have water, but maybe he doesn't have septic. I don't know. It's up there in the boondocks of Alaska, back there in the backcountry.
Pepper Creek.
So
Alaska.
there you go with that.
I kept wanting to say Arkansas. I could I was like, no.
So first off, it's 87 degrees here today, so it's good and warm. The rest of this week, we're going to be in the next couple of days. We're going to be in the 90s. We're pretty much looks like for the next week and a half, we're probably going to be in the 80s and the 90s. So actually,
Enjoying it.
Arizona Bike Week is going to be some great time to be riding because what difference is if you're down in Florida or someplace like that, and you're thinking 80 or 90 degrees, you're like, "Phew, that's hot." Here, we don't have any humidity. Let me look and see what the humidity. But I mean, it's a little different over there in the Phoenix area, but not by much. But right here, wait,
40.
it is 14% humid. A little muggy out there
Is for us.
at 14%.
Agree.
So right now, what we're looking at, which I'm going to go check on the internet when I get off, see if our camping spot is open for Sunday and Monday night. Right now, what we're going to Arizona Bike Week, we're going out April 2nd. We'll be there sometime after lunch, and we're there through the 6th of April. Oh, that's the rally. The rally is actually the 2nd through the 6th. Wrong thing. April 2nd through the 6th is Arizona Bike Week. So starts on Wednesday and goes to Sunday. And then we'll be there. Right now, we're set up to come in on the 1st, which is Tuesday, and we'll be there to the 7th, which is Monday. So we're going to be in the Cave Creek area. But when I was looking, it said Cave Creek's rally actually starts on March 8th. Starts the weekend before. So that's kind of cool. I would like to be there. One of the things we wanted to talk about is if you are going to Arizona Bike Week, there's been a big concert. Probably the biggest name they had coming in is Five Finger Punch is canceled due to some kind of issues with family matters, what they going to do said. They're bringing in Marilyn Manson. Good luck with that. I don't know. Do we have any Marilyn Manson fans out there? I don't know. That was, I guess, about when our kids, was it when our kids or was it when we were, who did Marilyn Manson start?
I don't know, but my kids
Thought it was a woman.
Well, no, they knew it was a guy, but they were
When
talking
did
one
Marilyn
time
Marilyn
about
Manson's
first concerts you went to and everything, and I don't know, we were talking
1989?
bunch of people. Yeah, so Ben, they know who Marilyn Manson. So anyway, I said my first concert I ever went to was Alice Cooper. Your dad took me, and we went to go see Alice Cooper, and everything talking. So then they said, "Well, what does she sing?" To know Alice Cooper's a guy, and they said, "Why is his name Alice Cooper?" I'm like, "Same as Marilyn Manson." They're about, I wouldn't say the same boat, but some similar. So then they got it. But yeah, at first they were like,
So
Nice.
I don't
Telling
know.
us their
Would you?
temperature.
I don't think that's an even punch. Oh, an even
trade.
trade. So I don't know. It almost
can't
looks
quite.
like it's Five Finger Punch, according to the article I read, are the ones that brought Marilyn Manson in, somebody that they know. I don't know. Would you consider Marilyn Manson music and Five Finger Punch to be the same
Similar.
groups? Same ethnicity.
Oh. Same genre.
Yeah, there you go. Same genre of music. We're not Marilyn. We're not fans of either band, but I know Mike. I don't know if he's on here yet. He's a big Five Finger Punch person. He wants to see him in Sturgis. I was kind of looking to see, is that going to affect Sturgis? Well, then when I went to their website, Five Finger Punch, it's not showing any concert dates till July. I don't know what's really going on, but when I went through and kind of looked at things, they've had issues with that band since about 2018. I guess that lead singer was in drugs and all kinds of crap was going on. A lot of the people original quit. So I wasn't sure really what was going on or if the band was just gone forever. Another one, I don't know if any of you watched them out. Sturgis, that band, they've been out there a couple of times. Lilac. They're actually from Santa Monica, California. It's kind of like a family band. They're quitting this year for a year because their families want to do different measures. I'm assuming the girl that sings is probably going to come out eventually with her own band. I just don't think family does do it anymore. Tired of touring and
Well, they're all getting older too, because the youngest one was like 10 or 10, the drummer. And so he's probably 19 now, and maybe he's thinking,
so they won't be out in Sturgis. They played out at what's that campground out there? That
Acres?
yeah, Shady Acres.
Shade Valley.
Shade Valley. They played out there several times over the last couple of years. So if you've been out there and you heard them, another band that I just happened to see today popped up and said taking a break for a year. No 25 concert.
Chip says kind of heavy and raunchy types of music. Some of Marilyn Manson's old stuff.
Oh, it
But
might
I
be
guess
some.
it's similar too. I guess
I
it
just-
must be in the same genre.
I just didn't know if Marilyn Manson. I haven't seen her, or I haven't seen him headlining anywhere. I haven't seen any concert or anything come up. I mean, I didn't search him out. But I mean, it's like somebody wrote today. Kid Rock just did a concert, I think last weekend or the weekend before, and said his voice is changing now. It's getting more raspy. Well, I think he's 54 years old now, and
Getting up there.
he can't really. Some of his old stuff, they said, doesn't sound like he used to. He can't hit
that
those
rap.
notes and stuff. So, we weren't ever really big fans. We kind of started listening to him when he came out with Cowboy and all that kind of stuff.
In the 90s.
Yeah, more of that is when we started listening to him. So they still said it was a pretty good concert, but they said it just seemed like he was distanced, like he was. I don't know.
Trying to push himself.
I don't know. They didn't really say what the story was. It was somebody just wrote an article, just not saying I wasn't at the concert of what I read about Kid Rock.
XM Biker said Marilyn Manson is not anywhere near a biker genre kind of music.
Well, if they're similar to that Five Finger Punch, they're playing a lot of rallies this year. I think they're in Milwaukee and I think they said they were, but I mean they were there last year. Yeah, they were someplace.
Who?
The Five Finger Punch, or is that the first time that?
I think that was the first time we heard him when the
Burgess Buffalo
Chipping
could be.
Cowboy.
So problem we have is we grew up in the 70s. We went to high school in the 70s. So that's kind of our genre, which is sad because most of those people are dying or they can't really perform anymore. So it's kind of sad. And we, for a long time after that, we kind of got into country, listened to a lot of country music. Right now, I guess we're still listening to some country now. So we're not really, I don't really have a favorite artist anymore. Just for the fact of that. Last time we seen Aerosmith, this is probably 15 years ago. Back then, concert was actually who was there?
It was Motley Crue.
Yeah, Motley Crue they came out first. Actually, Motley Crue did a hell of a lot better job than well, same thing when we went and seen Journey. The new Journey, I don't care for the kid that sings now, the Asian kid. We grew up with Steve Perry singing, and that's what we heard. That's what all the records are his. And to hear them, and same thing, it was Foreigner, which was only the one original artist, singer. Foreigner was still the original person, but Foreigner did a hell of a lot better job. We actually walked out on.
Well,
Journey.
Cheap Trick was first. There was three. There was Cheap Trick, then Foreigner, and then Journey was supposed to be the finale. And Cheap Trick was really good. Foreigner was awesome. And then Journey came up, and we're like, we were holding our ears. It was.
So yeah, so we haven't done a whole lot of concerts and stuff compared to what we used to do.
Kid Rock will not be coming.
No, Kid Rock, they don't normally. So here's what we're seeing from the Buffalo Chip, and I'm not going to say they still have a lot of concerts. They have 10 nights that they're going to be filling up bands and stuff. Pretty much Friday and Saturday, the last 2 nights isn't going to be anything big. So that's kind of already know those nights. But I mean, the problem you run into is a lot of these big acts now, you can't book them to come to rallies, art affairs, or anything like that. So that's what makes it tough for a place like the Buffalo Chip. People are complaining, well, you ought to hire this person, you ought to hire that person. Well, they're tied in with Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and they want ticket money. That's how they do it, and they pay the artist. Well, at rallies, you don't really buy a ticket. You do in Ocean City, but you don't do it at Buffalo Chip. You're buying a pass to come to the campground. You can stay all night if you want. So it makes it different. What you can do is look around. Like, for instance, one of the people that I wouldn't be surprised doesn't play, Cam just mentioned a minute ago, was Alice Cooper. He's at several different events this year that are more like rallies or fairs, things like that, that we might see. But typically the Buffalo Chips policy is we never bring back a band 2 years in a row. They did it different last year for Leonard Skinner because it was going to be their 50th anniversary. And I got that because I talked to Rod, and on the video that I was watching of theirs, he actually said, the singer of Leonard Skinner said, it's going to be our 50th anniversary. We'd love to come back and celebrate it, the Buffalo Chip. So then when I
think it was in August when they released their first.
And so when I talked to Rod, he's like, we ought to give them a call. That's how that happened. But typically they don't. And the other thing is what we're kind of hearing from the Buffalo Chip is they're looking at it's the 85th. They're booking up pretty good now. And so is a lot of the campgrounds. They're getting fuller and fuller now. So not a lot of spots still available out here. If you're bringing a tent, you don't never have to worry about it. But if you're still looking to bring in your trailer, you want some full hookups and things like that, that's getting scarce. There's still a few, but it's getting scarce. So what the chip is what we're hearing is they said, why do we need to bring a Kid Rock in? Why do we need to bring in Jelly Roll? Why do we need to bring in these bands that are going to charge us 100,000 plus if we're going to sell out anyway? And so next year, which is going to be Rod's 45th anniversary. Now we're planning on, if all goes right, I'm thinking we're going to stay at the Buffalo Chip and for his 45th, which would be the 86th, would be the 86th rally. Yeah. So that's my thought because Rod's going to make it his last stand, and Rod's not been involved as much with the rally this year. He's had some health issues and stuff. So Damon, his son, was really picked up the reins, and it was kind of that way anyway. They were kind of leaning towards that way, but Damon kind of got thrown in the bush now, and he's fighting the whole. So he's making most of the major decisions now versus Rod making all. So we'll have to see by the time the rally comes. Hopefully, Rod will be feeling better and he can get out and be at the rally and it's everybody that. But once again, he's getting older. He won't say his age, so I have no idea. He's got to be in his late 70s.
Don't tell Catman.
And well, Kathmandu wasn't overly impressed with us last year, just for the fact that they didn't felt we gave him enough coverage. And we're like, you got to tell us if you got something you want us to talk about. It's his, but Kathmandu is not comparison to the Buffalo Chip, Full Throttle Saloon. Those are two different places that Kathmandu is not. And I love Kathmandu. It's a great campground. That's one of the.
That's why we promote it so much.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's not family oriented, but it's very quiet. They have quiet time, and it's easy to get to. Not far from Sturgis, not far from Rapid City, not far from Spearfish. It's kind of centrally located. So.
But with the new owners that are there now, they want to make it more of an entertainment area. I think they're thinking someday maybe being like kickstands. But I mean, that's a long way from being from kickstands. Kickstands have been working on this for a long time, getting it up, and they're still not where they want to be. They still don't get the crowds in there that they want. They got a lot of bands this year that are booked and more rally type bands. They're not like somebody was on Facebook the other day and was saying that they've got the best headliners. Well, I Googled a couple of the people that they have on there. They're not headliners. They're people that might go and play for a headliner, be the opening act or something like that. But there's nobody there that I think's got a hit record, even in the top 200. But I mean, Jasmine Kane, and there's a lot of the Hippie Coalition or whatever they are. They're there again this year. There's a lot of good bands, but it's free. It's free to get into kickstands and watch all their bands and all. No charge for it. But they're having a real tough time getting to that level. I think they want to be like the Buffalo. That's what I think their goal is. They never said that, but I think that's what they're looking because they want to be that entertainment center. And the way their property is laid out, it's tough because it's long, it's not wide. And they're on that hill too. So it's kind of tough. Now they're talking about, which I don't know if it's going to happen this year or not. They're talking about putting vendors down by the highway where you normally would do your boondocking camping at, which I don't know how that's going to work out. We actually talked to Joey. It's Joey, right?
Yep.
Is the husband and wife.
He was in Daytona.
Yeah, he was in Daytona, and we chatted with him a little bit about it. And he's already got the electric and all that ran, but he said he really wanted to put some asphalt down there and stuff, and he didn't know if he was going to have time to do it for this year or not. So I just don't know how that's going to work. I seen that he kind of had a road he was starting to work down there where when you first came in, it kind of went off to the left down there and it was kind of graded, but it didn't have a bridge or anything going over that creek down there. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good place for vendors. It'd be easy to see from the highway, but to get your bike down in there, get work done on it. If you did want to come up to the bar.
Truck getting down there.
Yeah. Well, and if you're down there, to get up to the bar is a hike.
That and if it rains, that's all grass down there. There's no.
Well, he said he was going to asphalt.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. That's just the talk that's out there.
They're saying Marilyn Manson had a part in Banarchy, and then Billy from Crap on a Cracker said Marilyn Manson's character in Banarchy killed June in a prison at the end of the series. So that was
I didn't
actually
realize-
Marilyn
yeah,
Manson. I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
that either.
We watched that. Didn't know it was him.
Got gory at the
Different
end.
without having makeup on. That's a lot of people, just like Alice Cooper. When we lived in California, he played a lot of charity golf classics, and he is the nicest guy in the world. And you would never, you watch him on stage and do all this crazy stuff, but in real life, he's a showman. And it's like a lot of these people. It's like people that watch people on TV. They're not who you think they are. When you're listening to these people, these comedians and actors and stuff, trying to tell you your political view, I wouldn't, just because you liked, well, it's the same thing what I did. We met Clint Eastwood's wife one time on one of the game shows. We were in the audience. And she had walked back. And I when they introduced her, he was kind of standing on her side. And I said, wow, it'd be so cool to meet a tough guy like Clint Eastwood. And she turned around and said, are you talking about Clint Eastwood? And I'm like, yeah. He says, I have to kill the spiders in the he's on the chair. And I'm like, really? She says, oh yeah. But that popped my dream because I always thought he was that big tough guy. But I mean, you don't really know who people are. Same thing like us. We don't get it so much now. When we first started YouTube and when people started meeting us, they're like, wow, you guys are just like you are on your channel. And we're like, oh, yeah. But there's a lot of YouTubers that are not. They seem very friendly. They seem like they're really outgoing. They're going to be this. And then when you meet them, they're really a pain in the ass. They really don't want to deal with you, or they just blow you off altogether. But everybody's got different personalities. Our thought was when we did this, that's part of the fun. If it wasn't for
you guys
meeting people and telling us their experience that they've learned from us, I wouldn't do it because the money's not here. That's one of the reasons we got sponsorships to help pay for going to the trips and stuff like that. But the sponsors we have are all people that we believe in their product. So it's not like, which I do. I get people all the time from Asia. These companies write me. I tell them, hey, we got sponsoring. Oh, we want to give you this free duffel bag from Viking and that you've given to 20 other people. And I'm like, I don't need a stupid bag and I don't need to give it away. Nobody wants your stupid bag for free. And I couldn't give it away. It cost me more to ship it than the bag's worth. And I said, we have a sponsorship started at $1,000. How about we give you a few bags and you can advertise it and then we'll talk money? I'm like, no, ain't going to happen. First of all, I don't care less about Viking bags. I don't know anything about them. And if you had problems with it, are they going to be around to stand behind? I don't. So there's my thought.
We don't support those that we can't back behind.
Because we do. We guarantee all of the products that all the sponsors we have and all the vendors that we've always talked to. If you have a problem, like for instance, I wasn't going to say this till the end, but a lot of people this year, over the last couple of years, Ride Now, Ride On. Rumble On. That is in Sturgis. They're right there on that main drag there. They don't own the building. They told us on a video they owned it. Talked to the city there. And so that's fine. But what the problem has been over the last couple of years is people have bought motorcycles from them and not been able to titles and had a lot of issues with it. For instance, like Tam's bike, we got the title before we left. We had it within a week. Before we left, we went back to the dealership and picked it up. So the idea is that you don't want to sell something, so you have that paper in your hand. So if you're paying off a bike, let's say it's from Harley Davidson. Well, the guy comes in, trades in the bike. They know what the payoff is. They got to send it to him. Who knows how long? It comes to Las Vegas is where they do the title processing at for Harley Davidson. And it's however long it takes them. We had the same problem when we sold her bike, her Road Glide that she had, her 2014 Street Glide.
That was a nightmare.
Well, that was California's problem. But California, what it ended up happening was, which I don't know why Arizona never caught this, was the title never got transferred from California. So we originally bought the bike in California. We lived in California 17. And then we moved to Arizona. We transferred the license and everything to Arizona.
Got new registration.
Every year, got new plates for it. And so when we got ready to sell it, we ended up taking it because we owed money still on it. And I couldn't afford to pay $15,000 to pay it off. So we talked to this lot that we knew up here that sells boats and motorcycles and said, hey, can we put on the assignment? He says, I charge 10%. Okay, that's fine. I didn't pay 2 months of payment, which ended up paying the 10% that I needed to pay. So it worked out really good for us. Well, after a while, we were down at one of the rallies and the phone rings, and it's the guy that runs the place. And he says, when will you guys be back? And we're like,
To August.
yeah. And he's not the one that sent us.
No.
So they say, we told him when we'd be back. He says, okay, when you come back, can you come in? He says, what, there's been a problem with your title and your bike. And I'm like, why is that? And they said, well, California never released it. And I'm
So
like, well,
they needed us to sign that was.
well, they
the
were transferring
title.
it from California to Arizona, from Arizona to this guy now, or to the dealership, and I'm like, what a mess. But I mean, it had nothing to do with the dealership. It was that case was the state. Well, it ends up being with this story now. Somebody bought a 2014 Street Glide last year from Rumble On, and he still doesn't have a title. And what ended up happening was, I guess they say, I think he lives in Arizona here. And I guess he sent the paperwork. They all got to the license bureau. They looked at it and said, oh, it's not filled out right. They need to do this and this and this. So they mailed it back, faxed it back to him and said, you need to correct this. No response. This guy's called several times, no answer. Well, since that's come up, it's actually came up on some of the Sturgis pages. And somebody contacted us that knows somebody that works for the company that said they can fix stuff. So if you've had a problem with them, we may be able to give you a phone number and some information. We're not going to pass out the number now, but you've got the instance you didn't, that you email us at bobandtane.com, and we'll be happy to send you the contact information to try to get your title registration. Because my thought was 2014, I can't believe, but somebody might have paid cash for a bike. It could have been $17,000, $18,000 cash. Like the person who bought it had that kind of cash. But I would normally think it'd be through a finance company or a bank. And I'd call my bank and say, I never got the title. They're probably wondering where the title's at. Let them do some figuring on it. Got way more money than you probably want to spend. So that would have been my idea, but it's not me.
Mike's on from
Talking about Marilyn Manson coming to instead of five-fingered punch. Arizona Bike Week. He lives in there.
XM Biker wants a little more update on the giveaway at Spring.
Okay. So what's going on with that is you just have to fill out a letter to us. Tell us who you
email.
are, your
Email.
address, all that kind of stuff, and that you would be committed to come to this. So what it is it's a trip to Spring Fling. Your dates that you get to stay in the tent would be from the 23rd to the 27th. You get one of their luxurious tents that are up off the ground. The bed it's an air mattress. It's got a little charging station. It's all the stuff we always show. There's no good for two people, one bed, two people. You get $500 gas card. You have to show up for that to get that. You get free accommodations at Camp Easy Ride. You get all your passes to get in for two people. You get the wristbands because they're charging $20 a day to get into Ozark Thunder Campground.
And
they're
that's in
having
Berryville.
They're having vans. They got food out there, all kinds of stuff going.
Vendors.
So all that's included. We don't have the exact day that we're going to stop this. I would imagine it's probably going to be by the time we get back from Arizona Bike Week, that first week, probably the beginning of that next live on that Sunday. Maybe we'll announce the winner. We don't have a whole lot of entries. We probably got less than a dozen right now that have written me and said that they'd be interested in it. I don't like the other raffle with the military. Just
free bike, a free trip. I don't know what's going on.
But I did say
the word's not getting out.
Yeah. So I know some of the people I was talking to, Ozark Rider. He's going to have us come on his channel, I think. Did something about it. And he had heard about it. Well, he probably heard it from Jeff. And so it just isn't really getting the response that we thought it would get.
Get back the week of April 7th. That's that Monday. Following weekend.
That'd be. So we probably will call it maybe while we're in Arizona Bike Week.
Oh, the 11th. That would give somebody at least over 10 days.
So we'll have to figure out. We haven't got an exact date, but we're somewhere either during Arizona Bike Week or that Monday we get back, we'll announce them. Since we don't have that many drawings on either one, we're probably going to pick who the people are. Mainly just looking for somebody that's really going to go. One of the entries I got is actually somebody that I think that wants an RV spot. Oh, he's kind of out of the picture too, because it's not Camp Easy Ride and they're giving away a tent and stay with them. So that's part of the value. I don't know what, charging $800 in to be there. But it's really cool. With like if XM Biker would win, it'd be great content. Yeah, a lot of party in there, a lot of fun, plus all. So that's all you have to do
I
to
don't think
enter
XM
that.
Biker's a big partier either.
Well, I mean, still
Know
film
where
all the
that-
fun
yeah.
party stuff.
Yeah.
I film all that stuff. I'm not out there doing. One of her friends that she went to high school with. We were in not Dirty Harry, Froggy's. We were in Froggy's bar and we did a video. And show the girls dancing and people drinking and having fun. And the girl says, "People are from hell," and it's like, oh, it's just a rally. People are just having fun. But I guess she's seen the go-go dancers and thought that it would be like something you'd see in hell. It's like it really wasn't. Not like people are having it's not a strip club. And so it's like, I don't know. We're not. We've been in bars like that and drank and stuff. But I mean, there's nothing different from there than if you're at Dirty Harry's or if you're down at whatever bar you're at. But this girl thought it. And he hasn't heard from her since. So
Why is Gene not coming back? You see, Gene Simmons has pulled off all of his shows through June now. But bet he cancels Sturgis too.
we have not heard that. I've heard a couple people tell me that. Now there is a video that came up the other day from Gene Simmons saying he will be at the Buffalo Chip and be there to party with his band. So at this moment, it's.
Oh, look at Snoop Dogg. What did he cancel the 5 days before he was supposed to
I don't think it was
perform?
even 5 days. But yes, things could happen. We're all getting older, and these artists are all getting older. Just talking about that a while ago. Aerosmith, Rolling Stones. A lot of the bands Kid Rock, 54 years old. Would you even dream Kid Rock is that old? I don't know. We really didn't hear the Kid Rock until probably the 90s. So we didn't think he was that old back then. But I mean, you look at these people, you don't realize how how
We
old
went
somebody is.
out to eat the other day, and there's all these ladies in pink baseball jerseys. And I was like, "Oh, man." I said, "That's pretty cool." And I was talking to a couple of them, and then all of a sudden I thought, "Oh, I bet you pickleball, not base softball." And so she said, "Oh, no, we're softball. It's a all women's 70 and older softball team." All them women were over 70. I would have never guessed it.
They played what, 3 games one day? And 2
Yeah,
games the
they
next
played.
day?
They had just finished their third game. They won 2, lost 1, and then tomorrow, which is today, they had 3 more to play. And I'm like, "Holy cow!" And I'm thinking, I have a hard time getting up and going to the bathroom. I can only imagine playing softball. And it was warm yesterday too, in the sun, 3 games in a row. We all went to Dickie Bub's and ate, and they were all in there. And yeah, 70 plus. The catcher was 76. And they all, I mean, I would have guessed they're older, but I'm
40s or
thinking,
50s would have been my gauge when I first looked at
I
it.
would have said older than that, but
When I
I
first
wouldn't have
walked
said
in, I
over
thought
70.
I thought it was a high school. I kind of just seen all the uniforms. I really didn't look at anybody's faces or anything else. And I thought, geez, they must have brought a bus in here. And
Well, we noticed when we pulled up, because Dickie Bub's is usually not, it's a Dickie's barbecue.
Yeah,
we call it Dickie Bub's. So it was the parking lot. You only park around the building and that's it. And it's like, holy cow, they're really hopping today. So we walk in and there's all this pink, and I'm thinking, holy cow. I mean, we had to wait a minute to order, but I was talking to these. And they were from all over. I guess they must pick groups somehow or another. There was some from California, some from Arizona, some from Utah, I think one from Colorado, one from Missouri. And it's like, holy cow. But yeah, 70 plus, all women's softball team. So
good for them.
yeah.
They're getting out. But
I hear party, I'm getting younger.
and so that's a little bit about, told you a little bit about Arizona Bike Week. And we're going to spend probably most of our time in Cave Creek. We have not gotten our media passes yet from Westworld yet. We will be in there because Joey and Speed's Performance Plus are both going to be there. They want us to do videos. So Joey, which I'm going to call him this week coming up, and talk to him because he said, I'll call her and I'll get you guys in. Because I said, I'm not paying, it's not worth $15. It's not worth $30 for me to come in and film you or to film them. They don't want us to advertise what's going on. I don't care. And I've already sent press passes in. Nobody responds to me. So
twice.
Yeah. So I'm like, whatever. If they want us,
62.
fine. We'll be happy to cover Cave Creek's
wish.
adventures, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Somebody did a video the other day on Scottsdale. We already been out that dealership years ago before every channel. We know a little bit more about that than what about. Did a video on it. We'll probably hit a bunch of the Harley dealers around there. There's a couple cool places to ride to
I
see
wanna
if flats.
try to get get a hold of the Scottsdale guy.
You start calling next week. And so we'll see what happens. So we already have things planned to do. If they don't want us to come in Westworld and film all that, I'm okay with that. The vendors, if they only want us to do our vendors that we have, I'm okay with that too. But just to show you what to do in Arizona around would be good. Speaking of that, so the other night, Friday night, Professional Monkey was on. He had his live that Anna
Yeah.
had her birthday, and they were celebrating it on there. So I kind of came on when they first started, and I stayed on a little while. Well, somebody came from South Africa, had come on his channel, asked, where could we rent a motorcycle in Sturgis? And so they were all, well, Mrs. Monkey, she kind of said, well, you could always go to that where you share a motorcycle. That's tough because a lot of times when you get to the rallies, they really are higher. They're already booked up. We kind of looked at that at one of the events we went to.
Ocean City, I think.
We were kind of looking at that.
I thought
And Professional Monkey,
no.
Africa.
Oh, Ocean City. Emery HVAC. I thought I saw his name pop up, but then when I
But so they also offered Eagle Rider. And well, Eagle Rider's tough because if you're going to be there for most of the rally, you're looking at almost $1,000 by the time you get to the door. Well, I brought up on his channel and said, hey, they ought to contact Daytona Midwest Motorcycles. And Monkey, when he did see it, he kind of said, well, I don't think these African people coming from Africa want to fly to Daytona and ride. Well, one of the reasons we do what we do is to give out the best information we have. Because we know there's Midwest Motorcycles, which is right across from where the old Indian dealer is on Junction. Has been doing it now. This year coming up will be his 29th year. He's been renting motorcycles there longer than anybody has, even Harley Davidson was thinking about renting motorcycles. So he's got very good prices and all that. And I kind of wrote it again and told him, no, he's on there. Well, as it went through, Monkey never seen it. And so he never made another comment about it. I'm not saying nothing bad, but it's just a difference of he's been to Sturgis way more times than we have. I think he's been going since he was a kid with his dad.
like 13, I think.
And so we don't have that many times. We probably got a dozen or more times we've been to Sturgis over the years, over the last 20 years. So we're not experts on it, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's what we specialize in. We specialize in giving you, whoever's there, the best information that you can have. And sometimes Monkey will say it. I've seen him on his channel tell people, look at Bob and Tam. They know what the hell's going on. We don't know nothing. And because they're more of having fun and having a good time. So just to back this up, the other night we've got, I got rid of the cable and we're using internet TV now. There's this guy showed you how you could go into your Amazon stick and watch more movies, use an IP address. So we did that. Maybe it's legal, maybe it's not, who cares? So, but we were watching this TV show and it was it wasn't, I forget what the actual name of the show, but it wasn't the Full Throttle Saloon. It was something else. It was around 2013.
Sturgis Raw.
Yeah. And so we were watching this. Well, we'd already been to Sturgis probably 4 times by the time 2013 came. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, where's that at? Where's that building at? Well, they went out to where the old Buffalo Chip is. That used to be where the Broken Spoke was at, where you could drive in the bar and drive around the bar and all this stuff. And it's like, I never knew that until the Buffalo Chip till Full Throttle took it over. And then we started seeing a bunch of the stores downtown, which we remember where the Buffalo Chip is, or where the Iron Horse is now, used to be called Easy Rider. Well, that sign was up. Well, then we did remember that we knew that used to be Easy Rider. But there was a lot of stuff on Main Street and stuff. And it's like, we have no idea. And we'd already been there at least 4 times. And so that just showed you the difference, what we see today compared to what we see the last 5 years. Where now this is going to be coming around the 6th year for Sturgis. I guess it's still the 5th. 2020 is when we started filming. And 2019 we were there. So we consecutively will be 6 years in a row we've been there in a row. But to now look back and see, especially with that show, I was like, "You remember that?" And she's like, "Where's that at? Where's that at?"
Well, we kept thinking, when is this? Well, we watched enough of the shows. We watched them back to back. They finally said the 73rd, because we were at the 74th. And then they said 2013. Somebody
I
finally
think I
said,
Googled it.
no, throughout the show, one of the
Oh.
girls said it, I think.
But it was like, wow, plus
We
all
saw
the
the
bikes that
Chief.
was
Saw Chief a couple times in there.
plus all the bikes that were there. I've never seen most of the
Any of those
custom
bikes.
bikes that were there. And it's like, did the station, did the film crew bring in these bikes? Because I have never seen them. Because a lot of these bikes that we see at motorcycle rallies,
Rally to rally.
same thing we see in Daytona at Willie's and some of these other shopper shows and down at the beach or boardwalk. A lot of those same bikes will be in Surges. People just travel around too, like we do. They do the circuit. So you see a lot of them. But then a lot of the bikes I've seen down there, I've never ever watching this video.
Them and Mike.
We had been there the year before and then we were there the year after. So because before we used to go, we wouldn't go every year, we'd skip a year. And because it give you time to recuperate and save money up and all. But to us, when we look at the first time that we took the trailer, which is 2019, it's really not that much more. I would say it's less than 2% more than what it was back because it's Buffalo Chip. It cost us, we booked right away in 2019, first time when they opened up. We got electric and water with our wristbands. Total price was $1,600. They're not much more than that if you booked when it first started. Because a lot of these campgrounds only charge you $700, $800 for the whole rally. And then it costs you more for the wristbands, depending on how long you went. And that even included pre-rally in 2019. We got there extra early. That was my first year I retired. So we got there extra early. So it's like, when people always say that, oh, it's always so more expensive and stuff. A couple other people had said that too, that it's a lot of things. Yes, if you're going to go down in Deadwood and you're going to stay in the hotel down there during the rally, it's like $1,000. That's probably more than it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. But you could still find, my buddy Art was just talking about something and I Googled something and found some hotels in Sturgis still in Rapid City for about $125 to $150 a night. So that's not bad.
Stevens on.
You really can't stay anywhere. Hotels are going to cost you between 100 and 150, pretty much the going right. Once in a while, you can find Motel 6. Some of these flea
Steven says that Fat Boy looks pretty good.
It's nice. I like it.
So, got a few things. Jimmy says on 4/11 he's going to Hay River. Is that when they're going to do Stubborn America? I knew they were going to move it because I thought it was during Bikes.
I think what ended up happening is Adam, I think, is getting way too busy. Campgrounds now, he's got 2 of them now. He's doing so much at the one in Springs that I think that's why he pushed it back because I think it was the same weekend that Lake of the Ozarks or the weekend before. I don't remember.
I thought it was interfering with Bikes.
No.
Because he's got his own campground now.
Because he used to go to that right after that.
I
Next
know.
weekend was that.
Oh.
Way it was.
That's how we found out about it. It was just too close because he got a campground down there now.
I just said that. That was, he moved probably campground.
So, well, I am trying to keep up with all this. And in between you say you want to answer the questions and stuff. So, somebody, I guess Mike, said that Buddy Stubbs dealership is on the way up to Cave Creek. And he says they've got a lot of stuff going on. And then Neil said, talking to Jeffy said he might drive out. Or just a lot of people are driving now. So, but Neil says Susie's campground still has cabin.
There you go. Looking for a cabin, Susie's campground. They're not too bad a price either. They're very similar to
said between 15 and 18 for all 10 days.
Well, that's not a bad deal. No, I don't think they have any wristbands or anything at Susie's, so you have to pay any extra. This is like Kathmandu. As long as there's only 2 people, there's no extra charge. It's $100 for being over 2. But yeah, most campgrounds don't, but a lot of them do. And because like as I was saying, when you start looking at just like Glencoe, when you start looking at Glencoe, you're paying as much as you're going to Buffalo Chip. I think they're up to $350 or $400 now for their wristbands per person. Their campsites are about the same price as there. Now it's different entertainment, but I'm just saying that you can be half naked at Buffalo Chip too. We've seen topless girls running around and golf carts and stuff like not as prevalent.
Provocative.
No, like it's a lot. I don't know. A lot more frequently at Glencoe than what you're going to see. But and a lot of people say, well, you can't sleep. Well, you can't sleep at Glencoe either. They do burnouts all night long. We talked to the Buffalo Chip yesterday, Friday, I guess, about that because it's a lot of people have complained that since they've done the asphalt on a lot of the roads in the Buffalo Chip now, and down at Bikini Beach, they're doing burnouts all night long, 4 in the morning. So they're thinking about maybe doing some burnout contests in a couple different locations and give away prizes, money, things like that. Maybe that would stop it. But I said you almost got to get to a point where it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and that's it. You just can't be out doing burnouts. Not everybody is enjoying your burnout. But
There you go, Steve. Steven's on now. Did you see that?
get your sign up.
That was compliments. The sign right here is compliments of Steve.
Yeah, that made for the shop. And
They're going to Deadwood the end of April just for fun. There you go. Oh, they're used. Oh, they're the ones in Salt Lake. Oh, that doesn't deter them at all.
well, if you're driving, it's flying is not.
That guy from last year. Oh, that was a couple years ago. That was Tony. But we still need sleep. Amen to that.
And it's which it is. And there is some people that I've talked to at Sturgis that don't even stay at a campground. They come for 3 or 4 days and stay up, never go to sleep.
Kelly's on.
Well, I've never been able to do that. I've always had to have some kind of sleep at night, even if it's 4 or 5 hours. But I mean, if it's especially what's bad about Sturgis and even some of the other ones, when it gets to be mid-morning, it's hard to sleep in a tent or in a vehicle that doesn't have air conditioning. Because
The
like
sun's
some of those
shining on
girls
ya.
that work the bars, they don't get back to the campgrounds till like 3 and they're staying in a tent. And by 5 or 6 o'clock when that sun rolls up, they wake up because their tent 110 degrees inside. So that's what kind of makes it tough for the people that work at the rally. If you don't have, a lot of the girls, if they're just working at an independent bar, they may not. Some of the girls end up getting a house together and they all split it and it works out really good. But if you're just a girl that's coming to a rally, and if you got anybody that's looking for a job at any motorcycle rally, they just need to call the bars and find out how to send a resume in and things like that. I see it all the time on our Sturgis page. And also I see it on the Panama City, Thunder Beach and Daytona and all this. People always say, where do I get a job at? Well, one, they're not even watching the pages half the time because they're half the time people are putting it up. The Full Throttle, I think, is still looking for almost every place is looking for help. People just don't want to work anymore. So if you want to work, you can contact any bar at any rally and shouldn't have any trouble finding a.
Mike says, any word on Pappy Hoyle's camping? If they have any left,
Yes.
I'm not quite sure.
They
what
still
you mean.
have Pepe Oil still has
That's
spots
Mike.
available. We talked to Jesse while we were down in Daytona. He didn't put any new spots. He's not planning on putting any more, but he's got about 1,000 full hookup at Pappy Hoyle. So when I talked to him then, he says we're getting full, but we still have some spots available. Typically, them and Shade Valley are 2 campgrounds that usually all the way up until that day, they have spots available. I'm not guaranteeing that, so don't think you're going to pull up and say, well, Bob said you'd have a spot available for me. You don't know how gas is coming down in price now. Everybody should be seeing that few cents coming down here and there. So a lot of people might be sitting back thinking, hey, it's not going to cost me as much to go to Sturgis this year. Let's take our 2-week vacation and go. It's kind of like us. We look at it as, we only got the gas to get there and back. We're luckily enough now to where we haven't got in the first 2 weeks. We stay in Rapid City at one of the campgrounds we have a membership with. And so that's free, which I pay dues to it. So that's
Nothing out of pocket.
nothing while we're there. So then we have that. And then we go to Kathmandu and they're sponsoring us this year, like they did last year. We're there from June 20 on. So we'll talk a little bit about Sturgis since we're planning on being there this year about the same as we were last year by June 10th. we will be in Sturgis. We'll be in Rapid City for. So from June 10th to June 24th, which we can't get those reservations till about 3 months before because the park's closed during the winter. They don't take any reservations. We normally never have trouble that far ahead of time getting in there. Trying to get in during rally would be a different story. Kathmandu were already etched in stone there. They've already agreed to bring us back this year. So we're definitely there for sure. And we'll be there until about the 11th or 12th, either Monday or Tuesday. We'll head home after the rally, unless something makes us stay longer, which I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else we need to attend to or anything like that. Let me go back to my Sturgis page.
Chip says Rapid City has been stuck at 329 for weeks. Steven says in Murder Beach, the pollen has been horrible, but the weather is great. 70s by the ocean, 80s, 10 miles inland. Going to pay my respects to Charlie Dog at Dead Dogs. I'll send a photo. Somebody said to do a video. Said we didn't know if we could do it.
Well,
yet.
they wanted to know about dealing with a pet that died. And I just don't.
Not easy.
I did one for my son-in-law, not my son, but one of my nephews got killed. And I was actually doing wedding videos back then. And I took a bunch of pictures and they sent me video and I did that. And that was really tough too. And so I would figure this would be about the same. And
well, that we didn't have to talk to.
No, I didn't.
We had to talk about it.
He's already getting up. So it's tough losing a pet. Charlie was the exception because he spent, 3 years with us on the road. And so he did a lot of rallies with us. Great dog. And she still wants another dog. And I don't know if we could ever replace him. He was just all around the best dog we've ever had. Each dog we've had has gotten better and better. I just can't see getting one. Part of it was
better than Charlie.
Part of it was that he was we bred his parents. We had both of them. Jack and Vegas was his parents. So we had both of those. And so she was there for his birth and there when he died. We get the flies coming. So originally it was supposed to be our daughter's dog. So she had him probably the first 8 years.
Well, no, we had him. They lived with us for 4 years. So
they didn't have the dog when they lived with us.
They were there when Charlie was born.
I know they were, but I don't think they in
Norco. He was born in Norco.
I know, but I don't think he was there at the bitter end. We didn't have 5 dogs still at the very end. So
when they moved out, they took Charlie with him. And that's when we moved to Orange County.
So at that point, we still had Jack and everything. So
Jack in Vegas.
So
got rid of the rest.
He probably wasn't much more than a couple years old. And then they had him for quite a while. Well, we already had moved out here, I guess, is when it started, because we came back and my son-in-law is just very tough on everybody. And he was they wouldn't let poor Charlie couldn't pant in the house. He couldn't drink water in the house. He had to lay on his pillow all the time because he was too hairy.
Couldn't be a dog.
Yeah. So we ended up saying, if that's the way it's going to be, we'd rather just take him back and we can let him be a dog again. And then the deal would be is if we needed you to watch him, you could watch him and take care of him when we're on the road. So that's kind of how we did it. Because the one year we didn't have him when we went to Daytona, because we were thinking we were going to ride the bike to another rally in Georgia. It ended up not happening. Charlie could have been with us. That was the year before he died. So the second year, I don't know.
There he died. We didn't take him either because we were going to go down to the Keys.
No, we had him in Sturgis.
Yeah, but we weren't going to because we were at the Buffalo Chip.
So that's
when they moved.
So
anyway,
it ended up that he was very strict with Charlie. So Charlie had already had a lot of was very obedient to start with. So they didn't let him on the couches. He didn't get on the bed. He didn't. And so a lot of that he already had. And then so when we got him, he loved to travel in the car. At first they didn't like traveling because he was always in your face. But his problem was he wanted to touch somebody. So we used to keep him in the back of the truck, in the the seats we have in the back, king cab. We had the seats folded up. He's on the floor. So he would put his head on the headrest a lot of times because that's where our arms were. And then after a while, he'd lay on the floor and you would back up there and you head up there. So he was there. It was enough to where he could touch you and he was happy. And so then when we went and started bringing him in the RV, we didn't know how that was going to work out, and it did. He never went to the bathroom. He never tore anything up. He loved to sleep, and we'd leave in the morning at 8 o'clock or something. She'd take him out and play with him and feed him, and he'd go in the trailer. We come back around 5, and if we got back early and it was still sunny, we'd open the door and his eyes would be squinting like, "What are you doing back here so early?" And he'd go out and play, and by 9 o'clock he's ready for bed again. And he just was a great travel dog, all around dog, and I'm just afraid. I see our daughter's got a different dog now, and it's just nuts. And same thing. We see people with dogs and they're barking all the time and all this stuff. And it's like, just didn't have to deal with a lot of that with Charlie. And one of the things I told her is I said, if it gets to the point where we're not traveling very much, it wouldn't be bad. But you don't,
Then I got to find a babysitter.
it's tough to put a dog in the trailer for 8 to 12 hours. And Charlie and most of the dogs we've had have been really good about staying home all day. We used to work 8 hours a day. They stayed at home and they weren't outside dogs. Left them in the house. Some of them were in full size crates. No problem with it. Raised the dog. So I just I don't know. I just don't know if she's got the patience to work with a young dog again and get it up to where it needs to be. Caught up on your questions?
Yes. Got a dog. And wow. Yeah, Karen just lost their dog too. Yeah, our sister-in-law, that's what they lost both of their dogs. They had Goldens, and he said, "No more dogs, no more dogs." And then I guess they both got to the point where they wanted another dog. They're home all the time.
But then it's been a lot of trouble too.
And then when they got the dog, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I was thinking. It's
Was
pottying
it?
in the house, and it's needed a lot of attention," which the other two need that. And then she had a mama dog and the baby dog, and it's the same thing. Mama dog kinda told the baby dog what the rules were, and puppy was much more obedient. Believe it or not, the puppy died first.
So talk a little bit more
More
about rallies
commercials.
since she's caught up
I've
on
only
that.
saw 2.
After we do Arizona Bike Week, we're going to be heading out to Leesburg Bike Fest in Florida. People always say, where the heck? That is actually
Michigan.
from April 25th to the 27th. At Gator Harley, they start the day before the 24th on Wednesday. So they're open and going. We will be in Orlando from April 22nd and we leave out on the 29th. So Leesburg is just a really cool down to earth route. I don't know what really makes it. Professional Monkey, he really likes it too. So it's just got that feeling. It's not. Well, we finally figured out after all these years about Daytona is, we call it now, the show off route. More people come to Daytona to do stupid stuff, do burnouts, rev their bikes up. People go, well, they do that in Sturgis and stuff. Nothing compared like Daytona. We're getting ready to we're waiting for the police to call us back and give us all their statistics. Stuff, Nick. Talk more into depth. But that's one of the things that I've seen more than anything else is Daytona is, I don't know what it is. If it's East Coast people, I don't know why, if it's people that live in Florida that do it this way, why people have to do wheelies down the A1A, why they do burnouts in parking lots at Burger King when we're sitting there eating lunch, why 2 guys are doing a burnout. What are they proving? I don't know. Why they told you 3 times on Main Street to quit revving your engine up and you still want to keep doing it and you can't figure out why you got a ticket. Sometimes you're just being stupid gets you what you need, your attention.
And
you
we've
need.
seen that, a couple of people that's gotten tickets we've seen, and the cops will tell them 3 times. 3rd time, you're getting a ticket. They're strike, you're out.
Well, last night on live PD down in Daytona, this guy gets pulled over and he's all up in the cop's face. Like, what are you pulling me over for? He says, first of all, you ran that red light back there. Well, I just followed the car behind me. It was red when your front tire went over the line. Oh, I don't know. He said, well, the other thing is, you have any eye protection on? It's about 7 o'clock evening, 8 o'clock.
Us.
And he says, well, I was doing under 20. So I would like to know, is there any state in the United States, I'll even say Alaska and Hawaii, that you can ride a bike without some type of eye protection or a helmet on?
You're doing 20 and under.
If you're doing any speed limit, if you're riding on a bike, I don't know any state like here, we can go without helmets in Arizona, but you have to have eye protection on anytime you're on a motorcycle, 24 hours a day. Florida's the same way. Illinois, we could ride without helmets, but you had to have eye protection on. Now there is exceptions in some states if your windshield goes over your head that you don't have to. Now I'm not saying that. This guy didn't even have a windshield on his bike. That wasn't his argument. So the cop ended up saying, here's what we'll do. I'm going to give you a ticket for not having the glasses on. And I'll just give you a warning for the light. The guy started going, well, how much is that going to cost me? $116. And he's like, well, that guy's kind of going on. He says, well, it's $290 for running the red light. Well,
And then
I
you get
didn't
a
do it. He
moving
says, okay, let me make
violation.
the deal. I can do this now because I'm writing you the first ticket. If we go back and I go back to the station and I watch the light and you've done the red, you've gone through a red light and I send that to you, are you okay with paying the $290? He's like, no, I'll take the $116 ticket. Being stupid twice.
Because the guy kept saying, I didn't run that light. I didn't run that light. Knew he didn't run that light. And he said, okay, well then we'll make this deal. I'll go back and check. And if you did, then you get another ticket. No, that's okay, man. Thanks for the ticket.
I mean, it's which it is. Most tickets that we see, even in Sturgis, I don't care what you're doing. Pretty much everybody that gets a ticket deserved it. It's 35 miles an hour out there in front of Steel Pony and where the Beaver Bar was at. You're doing 65. Well, it was 50 last week. Well, you weren't there 50 hours. We were there, but you weren't there. Even if you were there, we were there. I lock my cruise on when I drive down those like that because I don't want the tendency of because you're riding in traffic. You know, sometimes if you're with a bunch of bikes, if you're in the middle, you're probably kind of safe. But if you're at the back end or the front end, the odds are you're probably going to get the one that's going to get tagged. And if you say, well, I was riding with the rest of them even up. Well, were you over the speed limit? Well, yeah, but there you go. No buts. You can only catch one of you at a time. So it's when I see this, people without glasses, we've seen 3 or 4 people get pulled over in Daytona that did not have glasses, some type of glasses on. And it's like, what are you thinking? Are you not thinking? Guys doing burnouts on Main Street. How stupid are you to do a burnout? My thought always is, yeah, that's great. You're holding your front brake and you're doing your burnout. What happens if your front brake fails? You blow a line and your bike takes off into the crowd. Or you hit about a dozen bikes. You hit my bike and knocked it down because you were doing something stupid. You got some issues with me now too, not counting the other 10 guys that you knocked their bikes over. So
Gene Kelly wanted to know if they were any harder on music in Daytona this year.
typically, I think Main Street, we've seen more issues.
Oh,
The
Jeff's
guys that
here.
had the music cranked all the way up. But once again, I've seen it. We filmed it when we've been down there. I've never seen anybody get a ticket without ever getting at least one warning. Now, if you're doing a burnout, you're pulling a wheelie or something like that's a different story. But if you're revving your bike up, if your stereo's too loud, I have seen the cops say something. Hey, turn that down. Stop that. I seen one last year. They walked up to this guy with a crotch rocket. It was so loud we had to hold our ears
That
on
was
the
a couple
sidewalk
years ago.
and rapping it out. And the cop walks up as a woman cop, tapped the guy on the back, and he turns around. He's kind of jumps. And she goes, "Do you want a ticket for what? Do you want a ticket, Nix?" And he's like, "No." He says, "Then stop that." And she stood behind him with her arms crossed, pulled away. But I mean, people are just, they're show offs. I don't know. No, I don't think there was any more tickets written this time than last time. But yes, if you're drunk and stupid and swerving on your motorcycle, you're going to get a ticket. It's not, I always love it when, just like Live PD or any of these shows you watch, the guy gets off his bike, and he can hardly stand up. And he's like, "Oh, I haven't had a drink all night." And the cop's like, "Holy smoke, I just got drunk breathing off your breath." So yeah, you've done way too much. And that's part of the problem with a lot of these rallies. Myrtle Beach is like that. Daytona is a drinking rally. It's not a riding rally. It's a drinking rally because that's full of bars. And there's no really place to ride. Oh yeah, we can go out to Cabbage Patch. That's not a ride from Main Street to Cabbage Patch. But ride the Ormond Loop or ride in the Loop. The Loop is not a ride. It's just another
Something to do.
Yes. It's not like I go down there and it's like I've never rode through moss hanging trees. I've never ridden along the water. And now they're building more and more houses down there. The cops are going to get more strict down there. We heard that from the city.
Well, even yeah, when we talked to the city, we said, "Well, do you want to talk about any of the rides, like the loop and all that?" They've asked us not to talk about the loop, not to promote it. You know, people are still going to go do it because we're not trying to like encourage people.
We talked to the Ormond police chief, and he says we've heard nothing about that, and they cover part of that. So Daytona doesn't cover the Ormond loop, so I don't know. But there's a school back there. They're building fancy homes. You see over there on the left side, there's that big old fancy gated neighborhood there. It's probably got $1 million home. And they got the signs tell you not to rev your bike up, which is most people are pretty good. I don't really hear. I mean, I'm not sitting there watching. We've gone back there where that place that sells peanuts, that campground back there.
Safe
And that's okay. But I mean, it's just like Main Street and just Daytona altogether. I can understand why Daytona doesn't want them. They got rid of the truck rally. And the same reason they got rid of the truck rally is because the truck people that had the 4-wheel drive trucks, which that was never permitted and it was never approved by the city, but they would park in people's yards and throw beer cans out. They'd sit out there on the A1A in people's yards and stuff. And like there's so many of them that the cops can't even get around to. So the people that live around there, like A1A and stuff, and on the one, we're like, we don't want these people here because we don't want them on our property. It's private property. So when you start seeing all that kind of stuff, so they started banning it, and because people abuse the system, and it's just like here going to, you go to Sturgis, you don't really see. Yeah, I've seen some guys on Spearfish Canyon Road, and they're pulling a wheelie or something. That's not quite so bad because you're not. There wasn't 100 cars in the way. There wasn't people walking around. But once again, I don't know why they're doing it, but it's not as prevalent. That was the word I wanted, prevalent, that you would see in Daytona. You can pretty much say that if you're going to go to Daytona, you're going to hear 10 times the stereos, 100 times people revving up their pipes. Well, yeah, if we're on Iron Mountain, we go through the tunnel and people revving up their bikes through there. That's pretty normal. I've gone through tunnels. I don't do it down there because it's short. But I mean, I've done that when I've gone through some of these, like when we go through those tunnels that go underneath lakes, airports, and we got one in Las Vegas that you go underneath the airport, and it wouldn't be uncommon to wrap it a couple of times. But I'm not looking to blow my engine up. I'm not looking to, and I don't know. Same thing with the stereos. When I pull up the light, I just naturally turn my stereo down because in case she wants to talk to me, or if we're riding with somebody, maybe they want to say something. But to have these guys pull up, which is the stupidest ones, when you got like 4 or 5 guys riding together and they're all playing different music and they're cranked up so freaking loud, there's no way they could be enjoying that music. And it's like, and then they pull up to the light and it's just like, there's no way you can hear your stereo over the guy next to you that's got it cranked up. One guy's playing rap music, one's playing headbanging music, somebody else is playing country music, and the other guy's playing some crap that you never even heard of.
Almost everybody, I got another commercial. Most everybody's saying, yes, you have to wear eye protection no matter what state you're in. A lot of them are, some you can, some you can't, helmets. Tall Jeff is on. Pawamoto's on.
Pawamoto, did you even come to Daytona?
Big Whoopie's on. And you're riding and a bird flies into you. Our daughter had that. A bird actually cracked their windshield. Yep. Cliff.
I've had a bee go down my shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
That stung.
King, hey, Bob and Tam, will you be at Panama City Beach this year?
That's
yes,
right.
we will.
We haven't got that far. We're going to talk about that on my list.
Daniel Walsh is on. Walsh.
Who we get a super chat from?
Dune bugs are killers. We came to Laughlin River one time. I was riding my own bike. I had my little Sportster, the 2007 blue one, and we were riding, and the locusts get really bad out here, and we went through a whole swarm of them, and those just hit you in the face. That was a mess.
We have a super chat.
I'm not that far because you wouldn't be quiet, and I wanted to get all these people in. Neil got hit by a bird asking to get shot. It hurts. So Jeffy's on, and he says, $20. Great stuff, Bob and Tam. I love it from my chair. There you go. Hopefully, if you go to Sturgis, we'll see you in Sturgis. I did say Tall Jeff, didn't? Yeah, Tall Jeff's on too. We only had one Jeff on for a while. Neil says, please hit the bell and hit the like button. See if he can't talk, he leaves. He's like, whatever. Palmoto says, what's up? Yes, 2 weekends and it was a blast. We didn't see you. Thought you would have reached out to us. Big Whoopi says, I have to turn down my stereo to see where I'm going sometimes. I know we've done that, I think, our whole lives. When you go to back up, you always turn down the radio so you can see. I don't know what that is, but it works. I don't know. Mark says, not sure Iowa has eye protection law, but might want to look that up. And Palmoto wanted to know where we're at. We're in the shop. We're not at home in the garage. So I don't know what garage you were talking about, but this is the shop garage, not the home garage. So Jeff says, I'm working out of my garage on my bikes today. Are Bob and Tam working out in your garage? Yep. Karen says, hit the thumbs up button. Yeah, we've been over here 3 or 4 days, and we cleaned out the truck, big truck, and I guess he vacuumed out the little Ranger truck, and he worked on my brakes. He replaced the brake lever, or not replaced it, fixed it, because it was almost flat with the peg. It was really hard to step on the brake. So now
he was whining about it and complaining about it in Burgess, I guess. So then when I did the video a while back about getting your bikes ready for winter, I took it down to the gas station. I'm like, holy crap, how the hell do you ever use the back brake? It's like right like this, and it's like you almost got to slide forward on the seat.
Well, you have to extend your foot forward to step on it, because it's down, it's almost even. So to make it to stop, you have to push down.
So if you want to do something with your bike, I found the cheapest way cost me less than $5 to extend that run.
Are you gonna send the other part back?
Yeah. I'm not gonna get my shipping back. I have to pay for shipping to send it back. $40 back for I paid $70.
I never had a turkey. Feathers you have to pull out your bike and truck to press your bike. There's AZ Pipes.
I thought you was tall Jeff. You wanted to ask him a question.
I know. I just wanted to acknowledge he was on, because I couldn't really say
I remember
anything.
when we talked yesterday. If tall Jeff comes on, I want to ask him.
So Andrew's on. Says hi everybody. Dusty's back. I don't know if he was on or gone. Nicole's on. I hope you guys are doing much better. I guess Bob saw you a little bit last night on the Monkeys channel. Friday. Oh yeah, 2 nights ago. So, and I'm glad.
Well, they both were in, her and her husband, AS Pipes.
Andrew and Nicole.
Yep. They were in a really, really bad accident. It was
last year, unfortunately.
They slammed into the side of a minivan. I think it was right outside of it. And it wasn't their fault. It was a younger kid. If I remember the whole story right, the difference is in South Dakota. It's actually like Kansas, that when you're about 14 years old, you can actually get your driver's. You're like, holy crap. Well, you do it because they call it a rural community. I think this kid was about 15 years old. He hadn't had his license very long, driving mom and daddy's minivan, and pulled right out in front of them. There was no place, you couldn't stop. And they just went into it, and they got really bad. It was bad. We didn't know if they'd ever be able to ride a bike again. And he got it the worst. And I know they were on Monkeys the other night, and that's why I was kind of talking a little more about it. I don't always like to talk medical. But they've come a long way.
And they're going to Sturgis this year. I asked them.
And so that's really cool. And but yeah, we've known them too for probably since we've been doing the channel too.
The first year we went and had a ride, they were on the ride with us. So
we've known them a while. And
they said they're doing good.
So that's great. And because it's always, that's the one thing you worry about more than anything else when you ride a motorcycle. And that's one thing my dad taught me. My dad was pretty useless in my life, but the only good thing he always taught me was, remember, no matter how good you drive, it's the guy out there that's going to kill you. And I've always drove very defensively. I've been riding motorcycles on the street since I was 14 years old. And in my state, it was required you had to be 16 to ride a small, I had a 100 XL. My dad put a license plate on the back. So that's why I said I'm not really a dirt bike rider. I had a dirt bike, but it was a Honda XL 74. And it had the lights and all that on. My dad it's the first motorcycle. My brother had some motorcycles, but I was 7 years difference between me and my sister brothers. So I was home by myself. By the time I'm 14 years old, I was the only kid left. And so my dad bought me this for my 8th grade graduation. And so I used to ride around the yard with it and stuff. And then we moved back to Illinois. I lived in Missouri at that time. Moved back to Illinois, and we had these trails where my mom and dad bought this triplex. And right behind us used to be an abandoned railroad tracks. There was all these trails out. So I just tell my mom during the summer, I say, Mom, I'm going to go ride the trails. And she's like, okay, be careful. And right out there, as soon as you got to the next road, right on the main street. And I was out. There's times I'd ride back to high school on my bike after I walked home from school 2 or 3 miles. I'd jump on my bike and I'd ride back to school. We had open campus high school, different story. That's why we didn't go to
All
school.
4 years.
Yeah.
And then they made
Took it
it just
away.
for seniors, and then they took it all away.
But I worked most of my time. And but I've always rode on the street. That's where I've always gotten most of my experience. I couldn't even tell you. Probably, I didn't really start riding seriously till we moved to California. Once we got involved with a hog group, we probably had out of Corona, California, which isn't there anymore. Opened up a secondary store, which was a full store. They sold bikes, they worked on bikes, everything else. That's how I met my buddy Art. He's on tonight or not. I chatted with him finally after a long time. We got on the phone tonight and about what's going on. And I met him from there. And we started going with
Hey,
these
Jen.
groups, and we went to the Grand Canyon, and we went up north to Morro Bay, and we did a lot of great rides with them. And they'd go on rides, it'd be like 300-mile rides in it. And we go for weekends and stuff. And it was just a great time. And then I learned a lot of those people, and those are the people that used to go with us to rides. I did one almost 20 years ago now. We took a group of 6 bikes up the coast of California, which is what I want to do again. I'm going to do it here soon. Just a matter of time. I don't know when. But a couple of you say they want to do it when we do it. The bad news is we almost have to do it when we come back from Sturgis, where it's tough for people that are going to go to Sturgis, turn around and come right back and do another trip. So I don't know. The option would be to do it right after Sturgis, where people could come back and join in from there. But with us, we got the trailer, we got to bring it back home and then go back out. So I don't know, but that was. But we took a lot of people because the difference between my rides when we go someplace versus everybody else that goes on rides is there's a lot of great guys that have done the coast of California. Those 3 guys that go out and
Tony?
ride. There's a whole bunch, 2 lanes, whatever. Bunch of guys. I've looked at a couple. All it is they just ride it and they stop at a couple bars. Well, me, it's all about the adventures. We'll take you places that you don't even know exist. I just found a whole bunch of them. I'm looking for ice booze and barbecue. I just found out a lookout place. I found this old church to go check out. I found all this other cool stuff. And this is that is what my specialty is. It's not that I'm a great motorcycle mechanic or I know all the different models and all that stuff. I know more about how to get the best pricing. I've done this probably for 25 years. Been able to find, and this before the internet was there, how to find good prices on stuff, get low price on how to do stuff. I'm very, very thrifty with my money. It takes me a very long time to decide to spend money. And a lot of times I do have second to buy something. But it's all about, to me, is the adventure. It's just like we're going to do another video soon on again about people that always say, oh, I don't like the people that trailer and stuff. We can back up a little bit more. There's actually a YouTuber this year that we'd heard stuff about him a couple years ago that he did this. Well, this time I seen a couple of his videos come up. One is, can you believe the stuff people wear to a motorcycle rally? I think it's he's AS biker. Is he the one that wears the coat? No, he's not.
That's
And he wears a kilt in a lot of the rallies, and people are making fun of him. Oh, actually, another YouTuber made fun of him, and on the video, and they ended up taking it off after he confronted him. But this guy was actually doing videos, like showing girls with half dressed, and maybe it's an older girl, maybe she shouldn't be wearing that, or maybe a big heavy set girl that's got short shorts on, and he's like showing the picture. Well, there was this girl down on Main Street. I don't know if any of you seen her. We didn't see her. She had a very big black girl, and she was on a bike that had a big wide tire on the back. She got off and she shook her booty with turkey,
okay.
and she was doing that. Well, what she was doing, it wasn't so much what he was filming her doing it. It was he kept getting shots of people looking at it, and people were like, "Oh, disgusting," and all this different stuff. And it's like he didn't say anything, but the meaning is there. So what happened to us a couple years ago was when we were in Daytona, we had a couple of waitresses say, we don't want to be filmed because you guys are making fun of us. Fun of anybody. So I don't know what you're talking about. Well, then I did some checking and I seen on this guy's Facebook page, he was doing some of that. Where it's not so much he's saying it, but he's putting the videos up and then all these people in the comments are writing all this crap. Oh, look at that big old fat hog. She shouldn't be out. That's why they call them hogs, and they just go on and on. And it's like, and the same thing with trailers. People just they go after the people that because you're pulling a trailer or you hauled your bikes down there. Not everybody has, I'm not 300 miles from the rally. I would like to ride to Arizona Bike Week. It was her idea to take the trailer. I wanted to ride and we'd stay in a hotel. And she's like, I'd rather take the trailer. That way I don't really, at that time we were going to take both bikes. She wasn't sure if she wanted to ride 250 miles at one time. So typically I would say 300 miles, you should ride to your rally, but we don't know everybody's circumstance. But in this case here, if we got rid of all the people that bring their bikes in trailers, and if we get rid of all the people that you think, or this guy, shouldn't dress a certain way, and you get rid of all the heavy set people that come, and a lot of the old people, because I've seen that too, where somebody says, that old guy shouldn't even be riding a bike anymore. You can't even hold it up anymore. Well, it's all right to think those kind of things, but to say it out in public's a different thing. But let's get rid of all those people. Who's going to be at the rally? There won't be any rally. That's what I keep telling people with the trailers. They talk about Daytona. I would say 75% of the people probably come to Daytona is brought them on trailers. That would be my guess. So if you got rid of that, let's just go 50. So this year, I just seen the numbers today came up. They pinged phones for the whole week of Daytona, 10 days at the International Speedway. They came up with 138,000 people came through Speedway. Now, how many people came to the 200 that drove cars that don't even own motorcycles? They came to watch the racing. How many people there, which I seen a lot of people pushing strollers and stuff. It's a little tough to put a stroller on the back of a motorcycle. I've seen wheelchairs, but I've never seen strollers strapped to a motorcycle. So how many of those people were actually tourists or locals that came? So once again, we get back down to what I say. There's about 30 or 40,000 people probably actually come. They say they didn't double ping anybody.
Here's Danny.
But in our case, how many phones do we have?
4.
So we would have been counted at least once, 4 times. For only 2 of us. Not saying anything else. You could say the same thing. Maybe you got a phone, your wife don't have a phone, or maybe your wife's got a phone and you don't have a phone. Or maybe you're like Neil, he turns his phone off during the rally. He only turns it on when he wants to talk to somebody. You don't want to go into Rome. You don't want to get wear his battery down.
Yeah. So we want to say Cooper Pee-wee 23. We want to say a special hi to Josh, Liz, and Abby. How you guys doing? Josh, Liz, and Abby. Are you guys having fun tonight? So I guess Jeff wanted to know, tall Jeff wanted to know where you got the window accentuator, however you say that, for the Mustang AutoZone. I thought that's what it was. That's what I've got written up there, but I didn't want to say that. I either thought it was Bob gets a lot of the parts for the cars and stuff at AutoZone because then you get a lifetime warranty. So if it ever goes out again, which is the second time it's gone out on the Mustang, but it's also a 2002. So yes, we got
this hour.
It's sponsored
Bob and
by,
Tam.
oh, hey, you knocked down your thing.
Backwards?
Oh.
Probably backwards.
What?
All right.
Yeah.
Twisted Tea. What do you say about Twisted Tea?
Keep it twisted.
Billy said so.
And I don't normally drink, but if I do drink, it's a Twisted Tea.
There you go. That's telling the truth.
It is. I don't drink very often, but usually that's if they have that.
Go.
It's not as.
You can buy her a Twisted Tea and she'll drink it.
There you go. The up and down thing.
Yes, it is right away. You know if it'd be backwards or not.
Yeah, well, because I noticed when I went to do my hair, I'm like, that's the right side. Because usually if my hair looks all funky and I go to try to fix it, it's always the wrong side.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you did today, because even this is right, isn't it? Yep, Bob and Tam's. It's in the right direction. So there you go.
I think I might have. Sometimes you got to do a mirror.
Hey, Randall's on. How you doing? Did you get moved into your house down there? We're starting to move in the new house next weekend. It's time. I wondered that when we saw in
Burgess?
Mike's Blues and Barbecue. He's the one that we've seen a few times when we go through driving out the Daytona when we go through Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
He's got a
Southern
very
accent.
Cajun accent.
He's the one we seen in the dealership.
Tell him Jeff to go buy some. That's great.
So caught up.
Nice commercial. That's the last one, I guess. Jen wanted to know. Jen says she's on and she's from Kansas. I just wondered what part of Kansas she was from. And Paul Jeff wanted to know if he was a professional mechanic once upon a time.
I used to be ASE certified auto mechanic, but I have not
wanted to
worked
say
on
yes.
cars. What?
Just say yes. A lot of people would ignore them.
I
Oh,
don't know when I quit working.
We moved out in 2007.
Yeah. So when I moved to California, I decided I sold all my tools, everything, because the bad problem I have, if you watch my channel very long, I have a very low tolerance for stupid people.
He doesn't play well with others.
If you don't like what
or
I
work
say,
well.
you shouldn't ask me questions. That's the first thing I always tell everybody, because the way I am, I'm going to tell you the way it is. And if you don't like it, you shouldn't
That's
have asked
good.
a question. If you come up and say, just like Amzoil Adam said, what can I do to get my channel going when he first started? I said, you don't want to be honest? You are an ugly, bald man. He had no beard or nothing. Go back and look at his channel. I showed it to, it was
Lisa, I think.
Lisa. I showed it to her and he's like, she goes, oh my
Lisa's
gosh, he was
not on
ugly.
tonight.
And I said, I told you either need to grow a beard or wear a hat. He said, well, I don't like to wear a hat. So he grew the beard. He looks 100 times better and he's got a better channel because he's got the beard. So shouldn't have asked, because she always says, oh, you shouldn't have said that to him. He asked. I told him the truth. So my problem is I've worked in a shop for as little as 2 or 3 hours, and I've never worked at any place more than about a year and a half. So because I always got to the point where if you would tell me to do, if I'm doing brakes on a car or I'm doing whatever I'm doing, they say, we don't want you to do it this way. And I'm like, no, this way is the right way. Oh, we need to cut corners here. Can you just not skip this part? I'm like, no, no. And they're like, well, you got to do it because we told you so. No, you don't. I'll back my truck up to the lift, roll my toolbox in it, and I go down to the next shop. And I always had the same line that I said, I'm a mechanic, I'm certified. Here's my deal. Work me for 1 full week. Don't like what I do, don't pay me, and I'll go down the road. For anybody, not pay. So when I moved to California, I said, I'm tired of this. Tired of turning a wrench. There ain't no money in it. I'm getting out of it. There, I went to work for a gas company for 17 years. And the idea there was because I really worked for myself.
Pretty much.
That's
the only reason he lasted 17
I was a service technician. Well, I was union president for 3 years too. And that was kind of cool because you could actually go tell the CEO to F off. And there was nothing they could do about it because when you talk to them, you were in the same level, even if as a shop steward, you're that. So I was pretty much involved with the union within the first couple of years of working there. I was always involved with the union. And I became president for 3 years. That was a full-time job. And so when I came back, I still had a couple more years to work. And then that's when I figured out I can't do it anymore because I knew too much about the company and I knew more than their management did. And the management didn't like that I was smarter than them. So then that's when I decided to retire. 5 years.
Orange.
So
You're from Wichita. Mark says what he found looking up, so he must have been looking at every single state. Iowa is the only state that does not have eye protection law.
But you have to wear, is it a helmet state? That's what you'd have to know. If it's a helmet state, then you don't need to wear.
Or if it's one of those because there are a few, if the windshield's tall
Yeah.
enough, you don't have to wear it.
So we'll get back into the rallies because people were asking us what else we were doing if we're going to make it. So after Leesburg in April, we're on the bike the rest of the time. So we don't have a car or anything else. When we get to Leesburg, somebody's picking us up from the airport, taking us to pick my bike up, and then we'll be on the bike the rest of the time, the rest of the 3 rallies. So after the 29th, when we leave Arizona or Leesburg, that night we check in at a hotel in Panama City Beach. So we're there for the Thunder Beach Rally. So we arrive on the 29th, be there till the 5th. The rally starts already on the 30th. The next day it's going to start, and it goes to May 4th, which is Sunday. So after that, we will ride. Well, she's probably going to ride with one of the vendors. If they've got room for my bike, I don't know if they will or not. Adam doesn't because he's got so many extra bikes now. She's going to ride with one of the vendors, Steven's house, and stay there until I get there. It'll take me probably 2 days. About 650 miles. I'm not looking to do it in one day. So Myrtle Beach, right now, we're figuring we're going to get there by about May 7th. and be there till May 20th. The rally starts May 9th and goes to the 18th. So that's Myrtle Beach. Then we
I'm only gonna
fly
be there
back
till the
home
12th.
then. And so we're on my bike. We leave my bike at Steven's house. All Bikes is coming there to pick it up. That's where he ends up deciding
Come
that's where he
down,
wants it.
Shannon.
That's where we got set up right now versus at the dealership. I thought he lived on a dead end street, but he said no, it goes. Never went the other way.
We only came in one way and went out
Yeah.
the same way we came in.
So then the bike is going to be flown to Sturgis, but it won't get there
Not
by
flown,
June 10th.
driven.
So they're going to pick it up like on May 20th, sometime after May 22nd, they're picking it up. And week usually takes Haul Bikes about a month, and people were complaining about that too. And we'll talk about Haul Bikes. About Haul Bikes.
Got 20 minutes left.
So Sturgis. So from there, we're going to be in Sturgis from June 10th, in Rapid City from June 10th to June 24th. That's when we do most of our rides. Needles Highway, Iron Mountain, Custer State Park, Custer, all that kind of stuff. If we end up going out to the Badlands, that'll all be during that time. She wants to go to Hot Springs. We probably go down there one day and do Hot Springs. She wants to do that. We've never done that. We're going to eat chicken a whole bunch of times while we're there. Twice. And
We'll show you where the 385 is going to be closed
Yep.
this year because they're doing it in sections. So there's going to be a section of the 385 that's going to be
so
closed.
sometime from between the 10th and the 24th, we will give you a full ride of the 385 where they're doing construction at. Everybody's asking. I posted on our
That'd be whoopee.
Sturgis. We have our Sturgis page. We also have our Bob and Tams. Those are great places to get a lot more pertinent information, a daily stuff of what's going on. And then on the 24th of June, we move to Kathmandu. We're in Kathmandu from the 24th of June to August 11th or 12th is when we pull away. So if you want to come anytime before the rally, they have room. So if you got a trailer, you want to rent one of their cabins or something like that, and let's say, hey, maybe June 24th, you want to be there over the 4th of July. You could be there and you could celebrate it with us and do some fun stuff with us. We do rides every day. We're doing something every day. We put a video out every single day. There is so much freaking stuff going on in the Black Hills. It's ridiculous. We had no problem last year for being there 8 full weeks. No problem putting out whatever 8 times 7 is. 6. 6.
8 times 7 is 56. Yeah, that's
There you
right.
go. Got it right. And so I put 56 videos out every day. 56 videos for that whole time. We had no problem getting content because there's just so much stuff going on. So if you want to come out early, hang out with us, that's not a problem. Take you around, show you around. We'll tell you what we're doing that day. If you don't want to do it, that's great. If you do, that's great too. So at that point, we head back home. That kind of wraps up our rally season.
Doesn't?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we got Ocean City, which I don't have the dates for. That's too far ahead.
Bikes, Booze, and
And
Barbecue.
Bikes, Booze, and Barbecue. So we'll be there. So we'll be gone all that time. So
And
I
then
have to
what
look
were we
at
going to do after Bikes, Booze, and Barbecue?
back to Mindy's.
Somebody else? Oh, we might do.
Oh, yeah.
Daytona.
Yeah. We're waiting. Well, no, probably Monday or Tuesday. We're going to do Biketoberfest. Waiting to see if that's all going to work out. And sounded pretty promising, but we haven't heard anything yet. But we should hear something maybe Monday or Tuesday.
I've got
Yes,
your
no,
number,
or
don't I,
maybe.
Jen?
Because we like to buy our tickets and get them all set up for that. But we got to get a motorcycle and a place to stay. So actually
Do
talking
that
to Teddy
trip.
Morris. And if it all works out, that'll be great. And we'll be there. We'll be in Daytona a little longer. There's one of the guys that are once there that works with us, Dave. He wants us there a little longer so we could spend more time with him because he works every day. So he thinks it's not going to be a
I
problem.
know we thought that last day, well, the day we left that,
Well,
well, going
right.
to, but
They on?
if, no. Well, if he is, they're not coming.
So that's that.
So Jen, I think I've got your phone number and I wanted to say, oh, thanks to Mark. He also said that Iowa is no helmet law either. No helmet, no eye protection.
That's
Take your life into your own hands when you're in Iowa.
This is like Florida. Florida, you really have to have medical insurance from your work or wherever, or have medical on your insurance to ride without a helmet. It's at any gate.
So Jeff, how much is a home where? In Arizona here or South Dakota or?
California.
Well, he's in California. He knows how much they are there. 6 commercials now. I think I finally figured this out. Every time my comments go off on my phone, because I'm just using my phone.
Mine's come up 3 times. So we have no control over this now. They're saying they're gonna give us more money. I asked Monkey the other night when he was on, I said something about commercials. He said,
South Dakota.
because it used to be they didn't put them on at all during our lives. They would, if you came back and watched it, there was a crap load.
He said South Dakota. So the house we looked at, they had an open house. Go in the house in Spearfish. We drove by. They were little Cracker Jack box houses, real tiny, real close to each other in Spearfish, right off the 90. And it was what, 320,000? So they're going up everywhere. It used to be if you lived in California, you sold your house for a lot of money, you could go somewhere else.
Is who owns the house? Burgess.
No, that
So you can get, like they were saying, what's that town that's close by? They said houses are a lot cheaper at. I think that's where we went and filmed those.
Whitewood.
That you can get an older home for about 150,000 and up. But if you want something nice, there is $500,000, $600,000 homes there. What's happening in the Black Hills is the Air Force Base out there is going to start. I don't know if they're building them or Neil probably knows a lot more if Neil's still on and tell us what's happening in Ainsworth out there. They're doing stuff. There's a lot more factories and stuff coming in out there. There's talk in the next 10 years, there's going to be a giant amusement park. They're thinking about building something similar to Silver Dollar City. Something like that is being talked about. So that's happening.
And there might be a fire track coming.
Yeah. There's talk on that too, that NASCAR might build something up. There's a few tracks that are starting to close up because of issues that are going on. Communities wanted that land to build something else on it, houses or whatever. So there's some issues going on that there's a good chance that NASCAR could build a track in the next 10 years out by Rapid City. So that's all we've heard from several people on that. That looked really good happen. And so we'll see. So it is growing area. It's kind of like what we have out here. Our house right now is worth somewhere around 375 to about 4.25. In fact, they figured my shop here tax wise. I need to go down and complain about it. They're tell me my shop here, 350,000.
More than the house.
Valued more than my house. The taxes on my house are around 300,000. But like crazy. So I don't know. But Sturgis isn't a bad, but the problem is like I'm on one of the private Sturgis pages where it's more locals talking. And one of the things that Sturgis is talking about is Sturgis doesn't really have anything going on to track people there for no reason. And a lot of the people that have lived there have lived their whole life there. Small hometown. When we started going to Sturgis, I think it was 1,000 people, some 4,000, very many. Now it's like 7,000 people. But the problem is the same thing there. There's a lot of people that we know, subscribers, stuff that own houses there that don't live there. They sit empty the rest. So you can't really say there's 7,000 people living there. Well, then it's kind of like Daytona. You go down Daytona right now on Main Street, and the first block is the only thing that's open. That's it. None of the other businesses. Well, you go all the way down to the end, and you might see Dirty Harry's might be open. But
Boot Hill.
Yeah, the Boot Hill will be open, but you're not going to see the bank's not going to be open. The lot's not going to be open. Froggy's isn't open. They got the little bar might be open inside. But other than that, there's nothing going on down on Main Street. It's dead. Same thing with Sturgis. And they're like, a lot of the local people are complaining that we need to do something to bring this back because we're getting to be a bigger and bigger city. I don't see that. You're not going to get a Walmart to build in Sturgis. You're not going. It's not Spearfish. It's not Rapid City. And there's a lot of Piedmont is in between there. They're not doing anything in Piedmont either. But it's they want to change, get the town more feasible because they look at the same thing I said. Motorcycle rallies are not going to last. I don't know how many more years. I don't know how many more years I'm going to do this. We're going to hit 65 this year. And I don't know how many more years. And then there's people 70, 80 years old, 90 years old still riding motorcycles. And that's great. But I want to get to the point where I can't hold up the bike anymore. I don't really want to ride a Sportster around at a rally and all that. That's my only bike that I'll own. I'd rather just not go anymore. And it is. And some people say it's because it's getting too commercialized. It's getting to where, like Daytona, it's getting to be the show off people. It's getting too many stupid people coming to motorcycle. not necessarily motorcycle people. It could be people in cars. It could be like Sturgis last year. I've seen more cars than I've ever seen in my entire life of going to Sturgis. A big influx of cars. Because Sturgis, there's nothing going on in Sturgis. It's a pretty much little dusty town.
Oh, dunk.
And they have a few things going on throughout the year. They have a Jeep thing and they have a
Camaro.
Corvette and Camaro and different things like that that come through town. And so there's people that live there. But I mean, it's a small town atmosphere. We live in a smaller town here, but we do have a Walmart.
Yes, we do. We have two on either side of us.
One's in the town next door. But you look at Sturgis, and you can't make Sturgis into Spearfish or Rapid City. Just isn't got power. And they complain that people don't make good money there. Our top wage in the town we live right here in Arizona, $13 an hour. That's what the city workers, $13 an hour.
That's top dollar.
I hate to tell you what I made in Arizona, in California.
Dot trucking, they pay a little better.
But even dot trucking, to be a truck driver is between $75,000 and $100,000, depending on if you want to unload the trucks. I mean, you're on the road for a week, and you get to come home for a couple of days, and you're on the road again but they're short hauls. They go to California around here, so it's. I mean, that's probably our best paying job is in town here. But you got to have a CDL and not have no accidents and not have an accident with their trucks and all that kind of stuff. So it's a strict place to work for. But I mean, that's our best paying place here. But when I first came, just like at the gas company, they have Southwest Gas here, which does Las Vegas too. I would have took a $20 an hour cut in pay. I made, and the benefits weren't. So it's like, and I thought, well, there's no use me. You want to work for them if they don't have the same quality of work that here it gets to be 120 degrees. Well, when I worked in California, we weren't required to go in attics for a turn on if we get the appliance to come on when we're down low, if it's over 100 degrees, because the attic's about 150, 60 degrees attic. Here it's 120 degrees out here in the summertime, 150, 20. It's getting close to 200 degrees up in that attic. Well, for us to climb up inside there, the gas company that I work for didn't want you to die and make a lot of money from the gas company because they sent me up there. So with us, but here they require you to go in the attic.
Doesn't matter. It gets hot out here. You should know that. So, graphics wants to know where we're going to stay in Sturgis this year. And it's going to be at Kathmandu is the majority of it, a couple weeks in Rapid City, but that's way before the rally starts. Calypso Notch says they make a boss hoss strike for about that same price. They do. It's a lot of money for that dragon. I can't wait to see it. Oops, I sent it to your contact. It doesn't matter. I'll get it either way. Mike, XM Biker. Tam, after the live, can you have Bob read the text? Okay, I'll have him read that. Kathmandu is at exit 34. And then,
same one is
got you, Bob.
The Veteran Cemetery exit. You can actually get off the same one Kathmandu is, or kickstands, and you can loop around the back way. We just get off at the Veteran Cemetery. That's just
so the only bad thing is the road. I rode on that road. It's not that bad.
It's a gravel road, but I mean, she rides on it. So
I don't go as fast as I can, but I take my time and watch where I'm going. But yeah.
Well, she wouldn't ride on 385 though.
Oh, those are boulders. That wasn't a chat road. Does anybody know what chat is? I asked the question that the other day, and somebody said, "What's chat?" And I'm like, "It's like rocks, gravel.
It's loose gravel."
And
chat is see, we used to have chip and what they call it,
tar and chip
our streets back when we lived in Illinois. That's kind of the same kind of gravel. It's stuff that's not. It doesn't compound. I think we have like grade 5 or grade 8 that's out here. It's got a mixture of dust and all different size rocks that packs it down. Where the loose chat is more loose than it is. It's normally puts down more to soak up the oil.
I think it was somebody on here we were talking, and I said chat, and then somebody wrote back, and they're like, "What is chat?" Like, why?
So a couple other things I wanted to talk about before we got off.
We got 6 minutes.
I might do like the monkey and do 4 hours.
No, we're not.
Harley Davidson, I don't know if you've really seen this or not, but they have a motorcycle now under $10,000 MSRP. You might say, what the heck, Bob, are you talking about? It's a 2025 Nightstar, and they do have upgrades. You can actually, which is kind of cool. It's almost like the old bikes you have where you could buy backrest and buy all this different stuff. And you could have it pre-put on before the bike arrives. So the factories do it versus having a dealership do it. It's kind of cool. But then, of course, that adds more price to it. The bike is $9,999, so it's only $1 away from But it's cool. It is just cool. Not saying I'm going to buy one, but that they've got a bike at least under $10,000. You know, they really need to get back to a bike that's 5, 6, 7,000, like the old Sportsters.
Well, I'd like a Royal Enfield. Those start out at like $3,000 or $4,000.
But people have said some really things about so that actually from last year's price, 2024, they dropped it by $1,500. That's got the new Revelation Max motor, the 975T, liquid cooled. Only weighs 481 pounds. It's a pretty light bike. Did I talk about right now? I talked about right now.
Yeah.
And I talked about
Hold
Monday.
on.
Haul bikes. We highly recommend haul bikes to haul your bike anywhere in the United States to 48 states. Why we recommend them? Because they haul over 50,000 motorcycles a year. Harley Davidson now is starting to have them haul some of their bikes. Like when we were down in Ocala, they were getting about 125 or 130 bikes in that they were going to deliver down to dealerships in Florida.
Jim says they have a $10,000 bike and they have a $110,000 bike.
Oh, we'll talk about that too. Remind me about the 110. So haul bikes. If haul bike's going to haul your bike, they need about a month. They say 28 days to get your bike to where you're going. And you're like, why is that? Well, they have what, 5, 6 warehouses around the United States.
6.
So what they do is they have central drivers in all their warehouses. And then they have guys that haul the bikes around. So like my bike, when it left here, it went to Vegas. From Vegas, it went to Milwaukee. I never got off the truck in Milwaukee that I know of. Then it went to the next warehouse. It was along the coastline, East Coastline. And then it showed up in Ocala. Took about 22 days. Got there sooner than they were thinking. I wanted it there by the 28th. And they got there a few days earlier. So that you have to realize that in the first place, that it's not going one way. It's not picking it up at your house and they're going to haul your one bike to Sturgis, or they're going to haul it to Myrtle Beach, or wherever it's going to. Like my bike will probably end up, could go either way, end up going to Milwaukee before it goes to Sturgis, or it could go to Florida and then back up the hill.
I think we asked the guy, because I think Myrtle Beach is almost exactly the same miles from Ocala to Pennsylvania. That's one of their
warehouses.
So we asked when we picked it up, and he said no. He says, I think Myrtle Beach is in our system. So Ocala, Florida is going to pick it up. And I'm assuming they'll either take it to Milwaukee or Pennsylvania. And then from there, it'll go to Milwaukee probably. And then Milwaukee, it'll end up in.
And so that's pretty normal for them. The advantage of them is they give you $15,000 worth of coverage right off the bat.
Insurance.
To cover your bike. If you want more, it's cost you $140 and that's it. And you put down what your value is. You can't make it say I got a $110,000 bike and it's really worth $25,000. They're going to give you what it's worth. But if you got accessories on it and stuff, that's all covered. So that's the first thing you have. And then watching these guys, if you watch our videos around Mecum, they are class act. These guys all ride motorcycles. Everybody that drives their trucks, it's a requirement that you have a motorcycle license, ridden motorcycle. Most of them have that I've talked to so far. I've talked to probably half the drivers. And they're all great guys, great truck drivers and stuff like this. Yes, things can happen. Like there's somebody on Facebook this week that actually had, what he did is he lives in Tennessee, I guess. And he bought a bike in California. And I don't know how he did this, but he traded his bike into Tennessee. So they came and picked up his bike in Tennessee, and it took 3 or 4 weeks for it to get into California. Then when they dropped it off, then they picked his new bike up and shipped it back. And there was a little bit of a delay there. They said either the guy was sick, one of the truck drivers got sick when he called, or the truck broke down. Things can happen. So he was really upset about it. Well, he says he called the owner and talked to him, which I sent his information to the company and hear what the response is. And the owner told him to go F off. So I don't know, but I mean, I don't know how the guy approached when you're calling about your bike. But when I talked to them and when I went online, it told you right off the bat that they require for a cross-country trip 28 days. But that's not saying your bike's going to be there. Pick that one up, because I'm saying the dealership probably didn't allow that new bike that he bought to be hauled away till his old trade-in got there. Because to make sure if the trade-in never showed up, they already sent the bike, dealership's out whatever they gave him for his trade-in. So which I don't have no idea anything about the money and everything. Because it ends up being the guy that wrote this is the brother of the guy that actually is complaining about it. But that's not the guy. The brother is doing all the complaining online. So I don't know the whole story. And it's very, which I end up sending because the guy posted the problem you worry about, which I say with a lot of these guys that say, I'll haul your bikes. Okay. First of all, you want an insurance binder that says your bike is insured by whoever their company is. Because your insurance on your motorcycle probably isn't going to cover you in transportation. Second of all, you have to worry about, does this guy even have a CDL? Because if you're hauling stuff commercially, you need a CDL license. If they would pull him over, like there's some of the vendors that we have do not have CDL license, and it says on the side of the truck for personal use. Well, they pull a guy over with a trailer, state police, and they open the back of that trailer, and there's a dozen bikes in it. Whose bikes are these? They're mine. Let's run a couple of these plates. Your name Joe Smith? Is your name Jim Bob or whatever, whatever it is? No. Well, these aren't your bikes. Are they stolen? No. I got contracts because I'm hauling them for people. Let's see them. Oh, you're a commercial driver. We need to send you up to the weigh station here. We're going to spend some time. Days, could be weeks, could impound the whole load. You may have to go and pick your bike up wherever it showed up at. So those are the things you need to know before I let Joe Schmuck haul my bike. There's people all the time. There's some guy today went on Facebook and said, I haul motorcycles. I'll give you a great price. The Sturgis. So I Googled him. Got his name on the side of the trailer. No such name. Found out he's in Minnesota. So I asked him, are you covering all 48 states? Will you come to Arizona and pick my bike up? So I'm assuming if you live in Minnesota, haul your bike. But why he just doesn't say that in the first place? He says he has insurance. Once again, you call Haul Bikes, you can ask for the binder. It shows you your bike is covered, $15,000. So just FYI, nothing worse than your bike doesn't show up, it's damaged in transport, something bad happened. It's just like the other day, which this was not a Harley, there's no Harley, no motorcycles in this trailer. But the highway patrol, because I'm on a lot of Sturgis pages and a lot of the DOT and all that pickup truck with a trailer, probably about a 20-foot trailer, flipped over because of the high winds. And that's what I said. You want to make sure if somebody's hauling your bikes. Well, then somebody wrote me back and said, the guy wasn't hauling motorcycles. And that wasn't my point. My point was,
never know.
Could have been motorcycles in that trailer. And some guy you paid lost it because it got too heavy, flipped over. There was another trailer down in Florida, some of you might have seen, down in Coast, that caught on fire. But those motorcycles were all heading to the auction. After I talked to my vendors, you know what caused that fire?
Yes, and
A wooden floor trailer. Fires can catch on fire.
not just spontaneous combustion.
Too hot. Like in our case, our trailer's aluminum, so the sparks or anything that comes off isn't going to do anything to an aluminum trailer. But when I showed them the video, I had 4 vendors right off the bat said tire went blue and caught the trailer on fire. The problem with a wooden floor trailer. So it had nothing to do with the bikes. Everybody was saying the same thing. Oh, they probably pulled the bikes in hot and one was leaking gas or the fumes and all this stuff. And it's like, that sounded good to me. But then when I showed it to the vendors in Daytona, and they're like 4 different ones that weren't even together. They all said exactly the same thing. Tire blew out, caught the trailer on fire, and burned all those bikes up. Nothing left of it. Just rusted, burned up frames. But they were all
like all those
auction.
bikes hanging around at full throttle.
Yep.
Drivers must be big guys with today's heavy baggers. Yeah, the guy was upset that came to pick our bike up because it said they're not responsible for anything, and
they're not responsible for the battery for putting it in the travel mode. So I'm like, I just bought that freaking battery. You've been watching my channel, $200 and something. Screw that. I disconnected it here in the shop. No, I disconnected it home. I rode the bike home because it's downhill. I figured they could ride it down the hill. Well, I watched all those guys loading up in Myrtle Beach or in Mecum auction. They pushed them all in there. So I thought, they even had a little driveway they had to push it up. See, slip to get out of the rodeo area. So I thought, no big deal. Well, then that's when the guy, he moaned and groaned about it when I seen him in Las Vegas. Why'd you disconnect the battery for? We would have charged it back up. I said, no, The batteries today, if they get below about 9 or 10 volts, they will not charge back up. A lot of these, like this battery supply place that we have in town, that's all
That's
over the
it.
United States, if it won't hold 11 volts, your battery warranty. Why? People are getting stricter now on this stuff. They think you're abusing it. Battery got too low. You couldn't charge it back up. So I was like, no, I'm not buying a new freaking battery. And I'm going to disconnect it again when I leave. Because I'm not going to get to Sturgis and find out at the dealership I'm stuck buying a battery from the dealership. That's where it's going to Black Hills Harley. They're dropping it off at. I'm not going to go buy a battery someplace else and put it in there. I'm going to have them put it in, and I'm going to have to pay for it. Probably $300 from the dealership. I'm not buying another battery. So
Neil wants to know if you've ever seen the new Janus bikes, Janus. I think so either. Rathan wants to know if Myrtle Beach has turtles. I know they have turtle warnings all over in Florida, down there by Ponce Inlet.
Stephen's still on?
He is, yes.
Stephen, is there turtles in Myrtle Beach?
And Steven says he works with all bikes in Myrtle Beach and all the time. Awesome 2-layer level trucks with a lift gate, better than the Harley trucks. Chip had to go. He says he's got his sticker on the back of his new bike trailer. Thank you. Greg came on. He said, sorry, but I'm late. Graphic Design wants to know, he says he feels out of place here. Because probably 90% of the people are on our moderators. Graphic equipment. Yeah. Poor main fuse. That's what they said.
That's what somebody else said.
Grease the wheel bearing.
Does the main fuse,
hey, Matt,
will it kill everything? Which I know, like I have things like the radio. I think the radio, the aftermarket radio, is wired directly to the bike. And also my charger for my phone is wired directly to the battery. So if you pull the main fuse, that will, because I was thinking about that, because that's what they said. Pull the main fuse, put it in the back of the bike, and then the guy can put it back in and out. That's saying he puts it back in and he puts the cover back on, he does everything right. You're now making them take more liability than do you want them to do that. I don't know. I have never really thought of one of the truck drivers told me that. Just pull the main fuse, one of the haul bikes. And I'm like, I'd have to almost pull it off and still see. Because 30 days, I'm not that worried about it. Because like right now, my bike is down at Rod King's house. One of our subscribers. He's probably not home. Is he? Sunday, he's off on Sunday.
Yeah, no.
And he's got my bike. And that's what he said. Do I need to put it on a tender? I said, you don't have to. But I said, if you want to plug it in for a couple days, halfway through the time, fine. My battery should hold in a month's time. It should be fine. I'm one that don't like to leave it. We were just down at I just got a new batteries for our farms. On her bike was almost dead. And on my truck was acting up again. And I had a lifetime warranty on it. I went down there and got a new battery put on it in my truck, and then a new battery for her farm for her bike. We only have one farm for her. See about getting another one.
Need a second one.
And so we'll have to sell we passed Daytona.
That guy.
Yeah.
They're all over. To check it out. Remember, we saw them all over once we realized what they were and where they were at. But
they were talking about it there. The battery place because I worry a problem with charging your battery with electricity versus your alternator on your bike. Even though it's the same, it's not the same. You shouldn't always put a battery charger on a battery to keep it charged all the time. It'll shorten its life. And so you put the tender on it, and the same thing. Art, my buddy Art, which I don't know if he's on, he might be in the background, not saying that. But he used to put a tender on all the time. Every 2 years, he was buying a new battery for his bike. All the time. It's always on the tender. Other than him riding it. And me, I only plug it in about every couple of months. I plug one in, like her bike. I'll plug it in again before we leave. I plugged it in a week or so ago. I plugged it in and I unplug it. As soon as it charges up, if I come in the next day here at the shop, the light's green, I unplug it. There's no need for it to be on 24/7.
You ever heard they said can you use the phone have you used the phone charger they make to go in the back of the trickle charge cord? I guess to charge your phone? Put it on a tender all the time, Bob, or when you can.
Yes, you could charge your phone through.
Hey, Phil.
Let's see what I've got the Zero charger. and it charges even with the key off. Like right now, well, but you could throw a phone on my bike at any time, and she does that sometimes. When we're just sitting in a parking lot or something, she'll throw her phone on and get a
Because
quick
his is
charge on.
always in it, so his is always 100% charged, and then he yips at me like, "Well, I don't know why your battery's only on 50%. I've been using it all day. Your phone's on a charger 20% or 50% of the time. I don't have a phone charger." Federal MC transport shipped mine across the country in a week. I can't be waiting a month. Calypso Notch said. Did they? I guess they did everything okay. You got your bike good. That's good. My Road King battery was 10 years old and still good. Holy cow! How old is Road King?
What was it?
Yeah, what kind of battery was it?
The
commercial.
problem, I look at some of these other companies that haul bikes, okay? Not haul bikes, but that will bring your bike to you, which I don't know what this company, I'd have to Google it. But I see
Federal
that
MC.
a lot of these companies are throwing you in with regular cargo. Well, I don't want my bike in the back of a trailer, got 1,000-pound crate up against my bike, because you never know what might happen. It slams the brakes on. Will it, if a band breaks, strap, and that thing slams against your bike and smashes it? All bikes only hauls motorcycles. That's the only thing that I kind of like about that. Yeah, same thing can kind of help, but motorcycles don't weigh as much as what somebody's freight could be. There could be somebody that's got a 5,000-pound pallet that they're putting in the back of the semi in front of your bike or behind your bike. So that's the thing, because I was looking at one, somebody else had told me a company, and I Googled them. Well, that's what I did. Their site shows that they're just a cargo. If I need them to haul my truck, they'll haul my truck. They'll haul, if I've got a piece of equipment here that I need to haul to Daytona for a price, they'll come get it. No ifs, ands, and buts. Well, here, Haul Bikes only hauls motorcycles. They do trikes.
50,000 a year.
So here's our phone charger. Tam's going to get one put on her phone. I mean, on her
You know
bike.
why now?
Well, I said when you got the new handle, I wasn't going to put it on the old handlebars and then take it all back off again. So I said, once you get your new handlebars, we'll put your phone charger on. Now, I like this one. It holds the phone really, really good. It doesn't have to have anything extra stuck on the back of the phone. You know, some of these ones I've looked at Harley sells, you got to put a thing on the back of it. Well, then that means we can't have our cases on the phone. I like my cases because we drop our phones. So I like my OtterBox. Well, this will go through the OtterBox and charge your phone. So I like that. That's the kind
For
of
some
charger.
reason, it won't charge this one, but I think it's because of the patin
Metal, yeah,
sticker,
metal
and it's
sticker.
like,
Reflecting.
yeah, it's.
So this one does a really great job. If you get one from Zero, you can get it from Rick Rack. Zero sells them. A whole bunch of places sell Zero stuff. If you install it yourself, do not cut any of the wires. This has a lifetime warranty on it. If you cut the wire, like let's say the wire's a foot longer than you need to get to your battery, you cut that wire, you voided the warranty. You need to roll the wire up, put a zippy tie on it, hook it to something, or put some tape around it, whatever you want to do, however you install stuff. And that way you cover your warranty. That's on anything you buy from any vendors that you install yourself. You modify it. Cutting the wires and making them shorter is modifying their product. They're not going to warranty.
Well, Garrett said he just had to replace his Harley Davidson battery. It was only 2 years old. Good to carry a Norco charger just in case. Graphic said he's got a 2006 Road King. It's a Harley battery, and he doesn't arm the alarm, but I will put it on a trickle charge once in a while. That's the one when it gets below 12.3 volts.
Well, see, mine, my bike automatically turns the alarm on. I don't manually have to turn my alarm on. My 2014. If I walk away, it beeps and it's on.
Sometimes you walk up to it, you breathe on it, and it.
Well, because I think the battery's getting low in that again because you got to kind of move it around. Typically, that's how I ruined the last battery was I turned it on and I usually turn it on to move the bike so it doesn't beep or anything. And then I put it against the wall and I didn't look. It was daytime. The headlight must have been on. When I came back next week to look at it, the battery was completely dead. I tried to charge it. It wouldn't take any kind of charge. That's why I said this a couple of weeks ago. Batteries have gone to crap in a handbag. When I used to have a service station, this was in 1980, I had a service station, sold interstate batteries. You don't know how many freaking batteries I had that were totally dead that I could put on a slow charge all night long. And by the next morning, that battery was good enough. It wasn't 100% because it will never come back to 100%, but it came back enough that the guy used it for another year starting his car.
Neil says 5 or 6 years ago, Black Hills Harley, they had sold a battery jumper that's the size of your cell phone, but twice as thick for $150. He said it started his diesel in Alaska at 20 below. Well worth every penny of it.
And there's a lot of times like that. It's not a bad idea to have something to take along with you. We have a couple jump things. I got one here that I usually keep in the truck that it's dead right now. Charge it up, fire, take it home, right wire. But it's one that years ago, which is the truck's getting to that way. We're at the point now, the batteries are 3 years old again.
Close.
So somewhere along could be the trip to
Sturgis?
or to Arizona Bike Week. We might get up in the morning, the battery won't start. So I'm prepared for that. We'll just go to Arizona, or I'll jump it, and we have towing too. But we jump it, and we'll go down and buy 2 new batteries at AutoZone or whatever. I just go to AutoZone batteries. They're nationwide to get in. That's usually where I buy most of my car batteries from. Once in a while, I do Walmart, but Walmart I don't always like to buy batteries from because you got to get in line now, and you got to wait your
And
time.
sometimes you got to watch the dates on them too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're kind of old. You already get a battery; it's already 2 years old.
Or it's 6 months old or 8 months old, because those dates tell you the day it was made. It says A 2020, if it says A 24, that means it was made in January of 2024. It's over a year old, year and a half old. So you always got to look at that, just like your dates on your tires. There's a way to look at that. I don't remember it anymore because I used to say that. You look at the date, you cross that over, you can find out exactly the year it was produced, made, and everything else. I knew this guy used to sell 5-6-year-old tires, and they didn't last very long because they dry rotted from sitting. You don't see it until you start using it, blowing it up with air. It lost its
City.
So I think I got everything that I wanted to talk about. Oh, the $110 bike. So the CVO, which I didn't get time to watch. We videotaped. We talked about this the other day. Last week, we got to sit down with the Harley Davidson flat track or Harley Davidson bagger racers. Three of them that race. Well, they're the ones that actually design for sign. So this is kind of like the first time in a long time since Willie G days that they actually took somebody's advice on building a bike, especially bikers. So it's really cool. So these guys took their idea of how their custom bikes, and the people that work for their racing team are the engineers, and people from the company is who works on their bikes. So that's how they all got together and came up with this bike that they. And you're thinking $110,000, that's just crazy money. Well, I look at my CVO. A new CVO right now is about 50 grand, brand new CVO. This is double the price. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they told me or if somebody else told me. The front end that's on this new bike, CVO RR, is about a $30,000 front end alone in front of this bike. It's
got the Orland shocks and all that.
It's got a lot of things that you would not get on your standard bike. Here's what we want to tell you. So Teddy Morris is getting one. It's already sold. Rapid City is getting one. It's already sold.
Red Rock Harley
Davidson, they're getting one. It's already sold. So the odds are they're not going to have any trouble selling this. Wish Rider X was on here tonight because he spent twice. He had to have his 131 engine fixed up where he got a big bore kit. So you just look at it now. Let's say you got a bike at home. You paid $25,000, $30,000 for it. Now you want a 131 engine put in it. You want a complete thing. You want it all welded. You want it all done right. Another $16,000 to $20,000 best to get it up to that. Now you got to have a tuner and all that kind of stuff. Different exhaust and all this stuff. Well, how long do you think it's going to take you to get close to $100,000? Now, my bikes that I bought years past, my 01 I bought it used. I bought it for $12,000. And my second one, I think I paid close to $20,000 for my 09. But I spent at least $15,000 to $20,000 on both of those and still never had them anywhere near where they should have been. Plus, I had a lot of other people work on the bikes, and they had issues with it, just like my bike now. I've spent a lot of money on my 110 engine, and I should have just replaced the motor and been done with it, but I didn't do that. But here, you're going to buy a bike that's $110,000 or maybe more. because you don't know for sure what they're going to sell it for. They may ask 150. I don't know what they're going to sell them. The only people that know for sure are the dealers that are the top 30 dealers. Because there's 131 they build. So they've got about 4 or 5 that Harley's playing with them. So they're going to be good used bikes. So 30 of them go to the top 30 dealers in the United States. The other ones are all going to be raffled off to other dealers that may want them. A lot of dealers are going to say, like our dealer that we have in Kingman, Arizona, Route 66, Mother Road Harley, really wouldn't be interested in it because they probably wouldn't have anybody customer that would want a $110,000 bike. Now they may want it just for the fact that they could give it to Red Harley Davidson and sell it there. Same thing with Teddy Morris. He's not going to have a trouble at some of his dealerships probably to get rid of them either. So if you're a bigger dealership and you've got people coming in with money, really not. Look at a car nowadays. You're spending, if you want to get a new truck now,
look at a new truck.
You're looking at $100,000 for a new pickup truck. Granted, this is a motorcycle, but if you can afford a $100,000 truck, you probably could afford a $100,000 motorcycle. I would have never dreamed I would have bought a $40,000 motorcycle. Never in my entire life would I have ever dreamed I would have bought it. But my reasoning was I didn't need to spend a bunch of money on it. And I didn't. For the first 4 years, I only put a windshield on it. Only thing I ever spent on that bike. Never changed the exhaust. I never changed the handlebars. I never changed anything. Different lights. Never did anything. Now I've done a lot more. I'm probably back up to about $15,000 on that bike. Still got issues with it. But so that's the first thing I say. When people say $110,000 is crazy, I already know at least 10 to 15 people that will buy that bike in a heartbeat. And they're not millionaires. They're just like you and me. I'm not going to buy one, but maybe you will. Maybe you want one. But there's people out there. Rider X might be somebody. We kind of said something to him the other day because somebody said he was thinking about a new. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not spending $110,000 for a bike. But I didn't ask him, what do you got in your bike? I'll bet you he's got 75 or 80,000 tied up in the bike he's got. Because it was probably a $30,000 or $35,000 bike when he bought it.
Because he's got a CVO, does it roadside?
Oh, yeah. Then he's got more than that. He's got at least 40 grand in it. Bike's doing fine.
So anyway, Mike's on in Sun City, but he's late. Gliding Through Life is on. Julie, we're not going to go to TMMR this year.
That ends up being the same time as one of the other rallies.
Myrtle Beach. The second weekend in Myrtle Beach. And then that's what Garrett said. Professional Monkey got to ride the CVO at Daytona. He loved it. He showed all the premium extras. That's one sweet bike.
And it is. And we missed out on it. I don't know how he found out ahead of time. Somebody told him, or I don't know. But by the time we called, they said they weren't doing any more rides.
We
on
could have
it.
if it had called earlier.
Yeah, it would have let us on it.
And you couldn't have reached out to us?
So I don't know what's with it. I don't know the deal. I don't care. I don't really want a big corporation being a sponsor of me or anything like that. I'm asking for that. But it'd be really nice. Like they had a couple years ago, I think it was last year, the 24 models came out. They had a ride out here in Vegas. They were test driving all these bikes and a whole bunch. I think Riding the Ozarks came out and
Her Two Wheels.
And came out here and rode. And I'm like, dude, that's 90 miles from us.
We're probably the closest YouTuber
Probably
around. Steven said in Myrtle Beach, some of the folks come in flip flops and shorts and plop down 55,000 for a CVO all the time.
That's right. Well, that's what I said. It's not uncommon. Now I see down the road things could change because the new generation, half these kids can't even afford a decent car, let alone a motorcycle to go along with it. So that's where I see 10, 15 years. I don't know. We'll see how these next few years go. Daytona's down way low. They're saying 138,000 people. I'm thinking there was a lot less than that. I'd have to know how many people were at the 200 race. I don't know if any of you went to the 200 race that was there. How full were the stands? Were they packed? Were they like the Daytona 500? Are they more? It's like we go to the flat track racing and it looked like ghost town. There was a handful. There was probably a couple thousand people. Was that many? Could have been 5,000. I mean, it wasn't very many. And that's one of the things I always crab about more than anything else is everybody just be it all the time about how rallies have changed. Rallies have changed. They're all commercialized. This and that and all this stuff. Why don't you support the races that they have on? They have a lot of these races that are going on. Not just in Daytona, not just in Sturgis, but Lake of the Ozarks, they have racing there. They have racing even at TMMR that he's
Yep.
talking about. And when you look down there at the track, if there's 20 people standing around the track watching them race, it's probably there are people that are relatives of the people that are there that are racing. So it's like you don't support what you're complaining about. And one of these days it's all going to be gone and you're going to go, what happened to them? Why isn't it there? But just like us. We just got tickets to go to Jay Leno in a couple of weeks in California. I'm going to go visit the daughter, go to the doctor and stuff. And it's only $40 to go per person. And it's at a comedy club. And that's what I told her the other day. We used to go quite a bit. I've been there a dozen times. Something. And I'm like, I want to go. Jay Leno's getting older, things like that. I'd love to see him one more time. We get to sit. We always volunteer to sit right up front. We're right on the stage, and we're not worried about what he says or does. Great guy. But I mean, it's people like that. George Carlin died on me. I never got to see George Carlin, a great comedian when we were in high school and stuff. We used to listen to all of his stuff, and I always wanted to see him. He died. And it's kind of like that. I've gotten to the point where we're getting older.
He said that 2 or 3 different times about he wanted to always see Jeff Fogarty, not Jeff.
John Fogarty.
John Fogarty.
We did see.
We did, but I mean,
but people are getting older.
Time.
If you want to see them, you got limited time. It's like AC/DC. I think they're still out on tour. If you don't see them this go around, they may be gone. One of them died. Aerosmith is pretty much done. Even Tyler's not going to do no more. And we've seen Aerosmith, and we weren't very pleased with the concert. But they just didn't play very many songs. They didn't play any of the good stuff. Why I don't know, but
Graphics says, do you think Sturgis 85 will be strong crowds?
I think we'll see a good crowd. I don't know.
It won't be like the 75th.
Probably. No, we're never going to see the 75th, no matter what anybody says. That was a booming time. We used to go to the rallies all the time during that time. I skipped the 75th. We were there for the 74th, and I think we went to the 76th, but we did not go 75th. To the 75th. And because I just didn't want to deal with all those people.
Well, the 74th was probably not the same crowds, but we had to walk the bikes up and down Junction.
It used to be
LaSalle.
when we first started going to the rallies. We're probably like in the early when they started first having the 70th anniversary. We probably went to 71st, but we haven't been going to Sturgis for that awful long. But when we first started going to the rally, now it wasn't backed up like the 75th. 75th, they said it was backed up on the highway. They had police cars out there and everything else because people couldn't get off the exit. But it wasn't uncommon on LaSalle Street or Junction between the stop signs. You really rolled your bike from one stop sign to the next. Like if you were going to go out to the Full Throttle, the old place where they were at, where Steel Pony's at now, or if you went out to the Buffalo Chip, if you didn't go out before 5 o'clock, you waited till 6. It took you 2 hours to get out there. And that's what we knew when we first started going to Sturgis. This is only like in the early 2000s. So we didn't go way before that. So the crowds those crowds have never been since the 76th has never been as busy as it was before that, before the 74th or 75th. So when people say, no.
Well, was it last year or the year before? Sturgis tried to say the record numbers, people that came was just a few thousand less than the 75th. And it's like, there is no way.
And these rallies, they all make up a number. And I don't buy this pinging phones because these companies charge them like $30,000 to ping phones. Oh yeah. You think they're actually doing that?
Well, they can ping the phones. I don't think it's very accurate.
But I mean, I don't know how accurate it is. They say they can zoom in on an area. Well, are they getting the bars across the street? Are they getting the restaurants, the hotels? Are they getting all those people's phones too? Are they picking up cars that are driving down the International Speedway? Oh, well, we can center point. No, you can't. You're telling me if somebody's right on the sidewalk, are you counting them or you're not counting them? Are they on the highway or they're on the sidewalk? No, you can't. I don't care what they say. Nothing's that.
And are they tourists or are they actually there for the motorcycle rally?
People just driving down the road. It's like Sturgis. The highway now is part of
city limits.
City limits. You can look right now, Google it. 36,000 cars today drove down Interstate 90. That is now part of the count because they came through Sturgis. So when people come up and they try to say there's 300, 400, 500,000, a million people, you're full of crap. There's no place for people to stay. And if there was 100,000 people at the Speedway out there where the vendors are at, we wouldn't be able to walk. We'd be wall-to-wall people. Be pushing. It'd be like going to New Orleans. Even New Orleans will tell you that during Mardi Gras, there's not even 15 or 20,000 people down on Mardi Gras, and that's what, 8, 10
Bourbon
blocks
Street.
on Bourbon Street. So people don't realize when they think about that. It's like I always tell people, we've been to the St. Louis Cardinals. Stadium now holds 50,000 people. It used to hold 36,000 at the time. Well, if we were in that crowd halfway through going down, and you could see it seemed like a mile, they were going down the road. Everybody was just lined up, going to their cars and all this stuff. None of the rallies are nowhere near that. And we weren't waiting till the last person went out and watched everybody. We were in the middle of the crowd. So if it's a sold out stadium for 35,000, we only seen about 17,000 people maybe in front of us.
And he likes to leave early, so there was probably less than that.
Probably less than 5,000. When people look at that, it's easy to imagine how many there is until you start, which is totally different. Just like I say, when we watched the TV show called Uncut Sturgis
Raw.
Sturgis Raw, go back and Google that. And maybe it's on YouTube or something. You can watch that. But when we watched that, we were so blown away because we didn't realize half those places aren't there today, and things that have changed and all that. It was just crazy. And I was like, wow, that's the difference. I can see now especially, I've always said this, but now I can see the difference from the last 5 years of what we do now versus what we did when we used to go to the rally, which is what you do. We now look at everything. There's not much that gets by us that we don't see or we don't know about. Yes, there's always something going on at some weird old bar that's 20 miles away. No, we're not going there to see some crazy thing
maybe 50 people are going to show up to.
And no, we're not going there. But I mean, all the main places and places that locals tell us about, we're always going to check those out and stuff like that. But it's like now, especially watching that TV show, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what we know compared to what you know by going to the rally. Just like Monkey. He's probably been there. He's 50.
Since he was
What do you
13.
say, 54 years old or something?
I
Monkey
don't
is
know.
now. I forget what he's been going since he was 13 or 14, 13 or so years old. And he didn't even know for 28 years that Daytona Midwest Cycles rents motorcycles right there in Junction there, right? And that's big old store. I think it used to look like it used to be like an A&W.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And but he's there every year. Got bikes sitting out on the sidewalk. They sell bikes, they work on bikes, and they rent bikes. Their big thing is renting bikes. That's their biggest thing.
And working on bikes.
Yeah. They also haul bikes. If you're in Daytona and or if you live in Florida area and you take a bike to him, he's got a good deal. I think it's $1,500 for him to take your bike round trip. He only puts motorcycles in his trailer too. So if you're closer, haul bike, I think it's $1,700 anywhere in the United States, the 48 continentals. Somebody from Alaska or Hawaii going to haul your bike for reasonable and or overseas. So, but that's just a point that I was making, is that we just look at things different. Like Monkey, he probably never needed to rent a bike, so why would he look at any place like that? You know, he's partying here, he's partying there, he's hanging out at the campground or things like that, and it's like, it's different. We look at it different now, as we enjoy what we do. We enjoy giving you guys all this great information, finding out all these new places, finding the best place to have chicken, finding out Moonshine Gulch is the coolest bar in Sturgis to go check out. You know, there's just so much of this stuff that both those two are actually locals told us.
Yep.
So those are priceless. But it's gotten to where we've gotten enough people, just like in Sturgis. We have a lot of Sturgis people watch our channel. They like us talking about Sturgis. They help me with information. They give me all that good. You guys. So before we leave today, we just want to go one more time on, we have 2 giveaways that are going on. First one we're giving away is pretty much almost like an all expense paid trip to the Spring Fling in Eureka Springs, Berryville, Arkansas. So what are we giving away, my class? It's called a trip to Spring Fling. Sorry, you're gonna need. So you can stay. The accommodations is going to be by Camp Easy Ride. You're going to get a plush tent with rugs and a bed that's up off of the floor. It's got blankets and pillows and a table in there, and you got chairs to sit outside.
Place to charge your phone.
They got a cooktop. They do all kinds of stuff. They have mimosas in the morning, and they have coffee all the time, and have parties, and they cook food and all kinds of stuff going on. That's just a great experience. That's free for that whole time for 2 people. You get $500 gas card. to get you there and home, which if you're riding your bike,
You're going to have a lot of money left
Yeah.
over.
you'll put a lot of gas back in your car. Or if maybe you're maybe you're going to bring a trailer, bring your
Yep.
bikes on the back of a trailer. That would almost pay for our gas. And all that's going to be at Ozark Thunder Campground in Berryville. And the rally actually starts the 24th, but you're real close to Eureka Springs, and that's where all the cool stuff is. You'll go over to the dealership. They'll have some vendors and
Over
stuff
in
going
Rogers.
over, and that is all cool. So if you're interested in that, you send me an email and tell us why. And if you think maybe I'll just want to win and get the gas card, you're not going to get that. You get the gas card if you get down there. So you're not getting it mailed to you. So if you think you don't know if you can go to this or not, then don't fill it out. We've got about a dozen people, actually 13. Is it? And so there's your opportunity. We'll be calling a winner here in the next week or two, and give you time, get your plans all set up and get down there. And also get you the wristbands and get in the campground too. Next thing we're giving away is we have a military giveaway that's being sponsored by the Cat House Lounge down in Eureka Springs and also Berryville.
Oh, you didn't tell them the last part of that giveaway. You get an
yeah.
evening at the Cat House with dinner and
extras.
Yeah, and they're going to have entertainment and stuff, and it's all on Jeff and Angela, who own the Cat House.
And you also be there with Marcus
and Marcus and
Oh yeah,
Sky.
I forgot about the free dinner.
Yep.
And that'll be like Saturday night or something like that. Friday or Saturday night. Yeah, you probably pick the night you want. So I forgot about that. I didn't. So that's included too. So this trip's worth about, I'm not sure what he's charging for the campground. It's $700 or $800. Wristbands is going to cost per night. Let's say around
$200.
That's $1,000. You figure $1,500 with a card, you probably could eat $200 or $300 pretty. So it could be a $2,000 value. And not bad. I jump on it, but we're not there. We're going to be. Next giveaway is for our military giveaway. We're giving away a 2003 Harley Davidson Softail that will be shipped to you. You need to be a U.S. Marine in the United States.
Active duty.
Yep, active duty. And that's going to be given away on April 25th. You do not have to be present. We will call you the week before and tell you you're the winner. I've only got a handful of entries on that too. So get those mailed in to the same email. If you know a Marine, same thing there is we need to know if you're a Marine, what base you're at, tell us a little bit about your military background. You will have to show us a picture of you holding your military ID next to your face before we call you a winner. Because we need to make sure you are actually somebody and not somebody just making this up.
So Phil, you going to Leesburg this year? Are you the one we met in at Hay River when they did the bike world record? Yes, world record. Oh, I thought Neil said I've seen a bad video from these two, and I'm like, what? It says I've never seen a bad video from these two. We love the great job you both do, all the information and all the rallies. Thanks, Mike. And I love to go, but I just can't with all that's going on now.
And I know it's tough. And that's why we wanted to kind of give it a shout out on this. And you know, I actually thought there'd be more people than what we have. I mean, it is. We're getting into the spring. It could be a little cooler there. It's kind of early. It's April. You know, Leesburg Rally, as we call it.
In the Midwest, April showers bring May flowers.
We talk about the Leesburg Rally. We call it the 300-mile rally that most of the people that come to Leesburg. But see, different with Florida, it's kind of like California. You can ride it year-round.
There.
So it's not uncommon to drag 300 people in. Probably the majority of the people in Leesburg are from, we'll start talking to the vendors and see what they have for credit cards and stuff. We're coming. But I would say the majority of the people we call a 300-mile club.
Alabama Rally.
And
Georgia.
But I mean, you might get somebody that, you know, but I mean, that's a long way to go for a 3 or 4 day rally. Unless you're like my buddy Art, he was just talking about coming to Daytona one. And he says, what do you think? I said, well, you know, if I was going to go to a Florida rally, that was my only choice. I wouldn't take Florida. I mean, I wouldn't take Daytona. I would either pick Panama City or Leesburg. I would rather pick those two. Daytona is getting to the point where
show off rally.
Yeah, the show off rally. way too many cars. It's easy to
There you
get
go,
killed
Phil.
there. Just a lot of
Beautiful
stupid
town.
people on motorcycles that are stupid. They don't know how to ride. They don't know how to think. And I'm not saying they're trailer people. Could just be just stupid people that think they can come to, it's kind of like going to Vegas. They think it's Sin City, anything goes. We can do whatever we want. Well, you can't. There's still laws that they abide by, and you can't do stupid stuff.
When we used to go to Bourbon Street all the time, we went for like 5 or 6, 7 years in a row, and that's what the police said there. They're like, "These people come down and they think it's a free for all. You can do whatever you want, let your hair down, and it's
Pee right on the side of the
not
street.
Sin City." And that's what they said. He says, "Is that okay if I come over to your house and in the corner where you're between your lamp and your wall and your couch, I can just pee all over the floor?" And the guy's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, don't do that here in our
Well, I
house."
thought I could because it's Mardi Gras. No, you can't do that. And it's
People don't
like,
think. There's no common sense, remember? We live in that age. I'll
people
text you a few
need
days for
to
that.
think
Sounds good, Phil.
before you do your actions. It's like us. We go to all these rallies. We have never, ever, ever been pulled over
Good
on our
night, gliding
motorcycle.
life.
Ever. For anything.
Gliding through life.
There has been times I've had my sunglasses up on my head. I was looking down at the speedometer or something, or looking at the map, and I'm like, oh crap, get them down real quick. And I was lucky. I never did get pulled over, but it doesn't happen very often because I'm always kind of thinking about it. What I try to do is the number where I just kind of lift them up a little bit and look down. But if I'm, but I know Monkey got pulled over that a couple years ago in Daytona, and he was saying that, but he was stopped. But it's the same thing. You can go to a bar tonight and drink and get totally drunk, and then go out and sit in your car behind the steering wheel, and you can get a ticket for drunk driving. Why? Because you're there. You could have started the car. Now, if you're in the passenger seat or in the back seat, it's a different story. But you can't sit behind the wheel, and that's a guaranteed ticket. Even might take you to the pokey and give you a DWI for it, DUI. So yes, so you got to sometimes think about what you're doing. And I understand sometimes you're drunk. I know Mrs. Monkey was saying the other day she got pulled over, and the cop just said she was checking her. Well, they have to have a probable cause
To pull you over.
Now it could be very simple. They could say we couldn't see your license plate. We couldn't see your tail light. We thought your muffler was a little louder. So they could have a probable cause. Now they can't, if you're in your car, they can't search your car unless they've got a probable cause too. Like they look in the window and they see you got a bag of dope laying on there, got some pot laying on the passenger seat. That gives them a right to search it. They can bring the dog out and they can smell around your car. And yes, and then if the dog says, I smell dope in this guy's car, then yeah, they could go in there and look for it. But other than that, they legally can't unless they have a probable cause. Now, if you're drunk, then yeah, they give them probable cause to go through bags too. So it's most rallies know people are drinking, but like when we talk to the Ormond police, you need to eat. You're at a bar, have something to eat. Have a couple sodas or something before you get on that. Don't be guzzling beers all day and doing shots, and it's midnight and it's like, let's go back to the motel. We're in Deadwood.
They want to know if you're ex-law enforcement.
Even is.
You used to work as a kid for the police department.
I was a snitch. I was not really a snitch, but
they would send them in to see if they'd serve them.
Yeah, we'd go to bars and restaurants and see if
in the liquor stores
so
to see if they'd sell them.
I was only like 13 or 14 years old, and I go in and see if I could buy a beer because you only had to be 18 in our state to buy beer in Illinois originally, and then you had to be 21 to have a mixed drink. So they had another guy that was 18, and we both go out and we go in the bar. There was this one bar. I went in this bar. I'm 14 years old, and I asked for a Jack Daniels and Coke in a to-go cup. And they put it in there and out the door I went. I never had to go to court, but I mean, they gave me something for. But the idea was I had that connection with the police to where if I did get pulled over, I could call and because I've been in jail once, and not my fault.
Yeah. He argued with the cop and they threw him in the pokey.
But I got out because I was working for the Ford dealership at that, and I was working in the parts department over in St. Louis, and these stupid lights kept changing, yellow. Well, I floored it, got through the light. Well, he said I ran the light. I said I didn't. Well, he wanted to give me a ticket, and since I had an out-of-state, I had an Illinois driver's license in Missouri, I come with a bond. Well, I didn't know cash. I had like $5 for lunch.
He was like 17 or 18. I don't know.
17. 17. And they're like, so they threw me in jail, took my tennis shoes off, my belt and everything. So I called the Ford dealership that I worked for in Illinois. They called the dealership that's in this town that they pulled me over. The owner comes over and they just give the cops, sergeant, the third degree. Why did you do that? You made him take his shoes off, his belt. What the hell is he going to do? Kill himself in the stall or a ticket? And they took care of it all. It disappeared. But it was, they got their ass chewed of the other dealership in town.
I've never spent the night in jail. No.
I never had to spend all night.
No,
I was there.
he was
I was there till dinner time.
hours.
And this black guy was in the stall next to me and he goes, but you're leaving soon, right? And I'm like, I hope so. And he's like, well, when your dinner comes, will you give me your dinner? So I can have two? I'm like, I guess if it gets here in time. Well, I got out. He was planning on having 2 dinners that night.
Well, I didn't know where he was because usually after work he'd come over to my house.
4 cell phones. There was no cell phones.
I know. I had no idea. And I'm like waiting and waiting. I'm thinking, where the heck is he at?
Yeah, 78 is probably when it happened. 78 is
77. I don't know, one of the two. But yeah, it was crazy. I don't know. But no.
I've been 77.
I've been pulled over by the cops with guns drawn. They thought I stole the car.
Yeah, we had a car lot when I had my garage one. And so we had this 77 Sedan DeVille Cadillac.
Old.
This is like in 1982. So it's a 77, got 36,000 miles. Cadillac. And it looked like a pimp car. And so she's driving this. So she's got the girls in the back.
They weren't. I just dropped them off at my parents'.
And so she got 2 kid seats in the back. Well, she didn't always put the license plate on. She just threw it in the back window and threw one in the front window. She hadn't started driving it full time yet. And so the cop pulls her over and starts giving her a 3rd degree. And she said that my husband's got a car lot. And he goes, well, get out of the car. I want to buy it right now.
I know. They come out, they're like, put your hands up. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And I'm like, I put my hands up and I did what the police asked me, believe it or not. And then they said, get out, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, where'd you get this car? What are you driving this car? And I said, there's no plates on this car. And I'm like, well, we're real close to East St. Louis is where we live. Not to say, FYI, if anybody knows anything about East St. Louis, but anyway. And then I said, well, we have a car dealership. I said, the license plates are in the back window. Well, I can't see it. Blah, 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 blah. Well, my dad was a cop. And, you'd think I'd get out of stuff. My dad he got my cousins out of jail and all kinds of stuff, but not me. If I got in trouble, I had to pay the price.
Dad. They cop into the button, there go. But he wanted her to get out of the car so he could do a test drive. And if I would have been there, I said, come on down to the lot. Bring me about $5,000. You can own that car. I'll sell it to you.
These two are definitely outlaws.
And so, yeah, we had a car.
I said, I got my kids' car seats in the back seat.
We went during that time. We lived in a 14 by 70 mobile home, and the girls were little yet. We moved back from Chicago, so she's got the girls playing with the little neighbor kid behind us. Grandma's got the daughters over. The granddaughters living with the grandma. So she goes over to pick up our daughters, and what do they tell you?
Well, no, I think we were planting flowers, and the little girl came over, and she's like. So Kimberly was about 2 at the time. So I guess Mindy wasn't even born yet. So she's like, where's her daddy at? And I said, well, he's at work. He'll be over here soon. And she's like, well, no, where does her daddy live? And I said, well, he lives here with us. And she's like, no, my mommy says you have a different guy here every night. And I'm like, I must have been the talk of the trailer park.
I drove dealer cars, and every day because we had
he came home with a different car
30
every
or 40
night.
cars in the lot, so I would drive them off and on to keep them running, keep the batteries charged up. So I'd come home with a different car all the time. Everything from like a Mazda RX-7 to a Z Camaro to a Corvette
Z28.
to a Porsche. We had a Porsche for a while. She drove that around for a while. 14 Porsche.
So yeah, I was the talk of the trailer park.
Yeah,
I had a different guy every night. So they say.
It's just like, well, no worse than the roosters I was shot in the backyard. We had so this is really telling you stuff. This has been long enough that no crimes can come against me right now. So we're living in this trailer park. And like 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't get up till.
First, you got to say, our oldest daughter never slept. Never slept. We would have to get her in the middle of the night and drive her around until she would fall asleep. And I would just leave her in the car seat just because I didn't want to touch her because I wanted her to sleep. So we didn't get hardly any sleep. So this rooster's all of a sudden
4 o'clock in the morning starts crowing outside.
Every single morning.
So across the street from us on the trailer park, there's a house across the street that's got some chickens or something. So she goes up to the office and says, hey, there's 2 roosters down here. And they said, well, it's probably the guy across the street. Go over there and talk to him. So she goes across the highway and talks to the guy. And guy goes, no, all my roosters are here. So she comes back. So she calls Humane Society and says, hey, we got these roosters. They're like, well, if they're dead, we'll come get them, but we're not coming back with them alive. And I'm like, I go out there first with a pellet gun and shoot these stupid things. And
it's like, boom, boom.
Nothing happened. So
go straight through them.
Next day, I get them home. I bring my 22 home now. So I'm looking at these stupid things. I shoot one of them through the stomach, and it's still standing there doing nothing up in this tree. It flew up to the top of the tree. Still standing there. I'm like, stupid ass thing. So I aim at his head, blow his head off, and he falls out of the tree. Well, then I see the other one. I boom, shoot his head off. So I take them, put them in a bag, take them to work, and throw them in my dumpster. And then later on, somebody said, I heard those roosters are gone.
We took care of it.
No
because it would wake her up, and it was like I barely got her to sleep.
Well, it was no difference than the raccoons kept getting when we moved over to the lot. I had this lot. We took the trailer over to the lot, and I built a 28 by 30 pole building.
A bigger garage than the house. Imagine that.
Had that on the garage. Had that at home. And these raccoons kept coming up and getting in the trash and tearing it all up. And I put stuff out. Still couldn't do anything with them. So I'm like, screw that. So we could hear the trash can fall over. So I run out the front door with my 22 or whatever I had. Turned around and I shot some of them. The same thing, right through them. I should have shot them in the head too. Next thing you know, we're back in bed.
The police.
Are you guys all right?
We've heard gunshots coming from your house.
And we're like, yeah. So how many people are in there? Us two and 2 daughters. Can you get your wife to come to the door? Just say something. And I said, I got it. In Illinois, you used to have a gun card to buy guns or buy bullets. So I showed him my gun card. And I said, and I explained the story to him. And I said, well, who the hell called? He said, well, I can't tell you, but it's over there in the neighborhood. Like 2 blocks away, some dude's calling about hearing gunshots.
But they go on every day. How do they know it was us?
It's only like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. It wasn't like, there was no arguing. I wasn't out there yelling at him. Out there shooting some shells off.
Anyway, say good night, John Boy.
So we've done some great. That ain't even nothing. You don't want to tell you all of ours.
We don't need to go there. So Phil Garrett says you guys are all cracking me up. We all have chickens and our roosters crow at 4 a.m. too.
Ain't waking. No damn rooster that I ain't getting no eggs from the chicken. I ain't.
Aren't gonna keep us up. Not here in Murder Beach, Steven says.
But yeah, right. It's just crazy times, and nowadays you couldn't even probably shoot a gun off without it.
Probably not.
A SWAT team coming probably. But there was more of a rural area. We didn't really even look at the city. It was the sheriff that came out, so it wasn't the end of the world.
Thanks, Neil.
Not like Neil. Neil can probably go out in his backyard and shoot off, and they didn't know he shot anything.
He could shoot a moose and eat it.
Shoot it right out the window.
That's right.
Just as long as he's got his card, license, that moose. Can you shoot your? Used to be, I don't know if it's like that or not. When you used to live in Missouri, if you lived on your property, there you used to be able to shoot deer year round. As long as it was on your property, you didn't have to have a license. I don't know if they still. You know, then Alaska
didn't have to get a
deer
permit.
came across your yard.
He says, I have.
That legally.
I live in the country. No rules here about guns.
Most places are. Arizona's like that. South Dakota's like that. That's why you could. Now, what you got to watch if you travel with a gun. You have to make sure the state you come from allows you to open carry or conceal carry. Because like in South Dakota and Arizona is both the same way. It's legal to conceal carry. And you can't open carry and conceal carry. Because the idea that all these courts have figured out that it's better, instead of you hanging your gun on the outside of your hip, you scare more people that way than having the gun hidden under your shirt or something. It's not quite as obvious.
Only use it when you need it, not to intimidate.
We've seen some guy that had a 9mm. It was all nickel plated chrome. Looked like he never shot at some skinhead in Walmart out in Kingman.
And he had also a big old machete strapped to his hip. And
I said, this stupid moron probably don't even know how to even shoot this. But the point I was making was, like, let's say you came from California. California does not allow open carry or conceal carry. You can't carry in states that allow you to, because they go back to where your driver's license is from. Now, unless you have a concealed carry card. You have concealed carry cards. But not every state. I can't carry in California. I can't carry in New York. I can't carry
Illinois.
All these crazy states. But every other one I could. But it's whatever the law allows you to do. But some people think that, hey, I'm just going to bring my gun to South Dakota and I can carry it wherever I want. Well, you can't. You can't carry it into places that serves alcohol. And there's a lot of places. like us. We can't carry our gun, go to the post office with a gun. You can't go on any kind of federal land with a gun. You can't even go to a federal park. They catch you with a gun, it's a felony. So it's a lot of people don't know all the rules when it comes to carrying a gun.
Calypso Notch said, "What the game warden don't know won't hurt you."
That's right. And a lot of times I do that too.
She's a porn state.
I've had a gun in
Look and
California a
see
lot of
that.
times that once, but I'm not carrying it on me. It's put someplace.
Say your countdown.
All right. So here's where we got rallies coming. Arizona Bike Week is only 10 days away. Believe it? We're already in rally season. Daytona started rally. 32 days to Leesburg Bike Fest. That's I say. Actually, right now we'd be leaving again. Oh, we'd already left a couple days ago.
Oh.
Leaving the 22nd. Second day we fly.
22nd of April. So this is
this is
30
March.
days from.
Well, today's 30. So we'll be, less than 30 days. We'll be in Florida again. And then Panama City Beach is only 38 days. Murder Beach, Stevensworth. We'll talk about murder. We got to get Steven to come on one night. They would do it live while we're there on that Sunday.
Steven can be on and tell you all about Murder Beach.
She's not going to be, she's going to miss most of the rally. I mean, me and Steven doing
I'm leaving the 12th because of my grandson's graduation.
So 38 days to Thunder Beach, 47 days to Myrtle Beach Bike Rally. Can you believe it? 47. Churches, I don't get that excited till we get to the 100th. But right now we're 131 days. Ocean City, still got a ways there. It's 171 days to Ocean City. The Bikes Blues Barbecue is 192 days. That'll wrap up our year this year. 192
unless
days.
We go to Biketoberfest.
Yeah, unless we go to Biketoberfest. Right now at 192, let's see how many days is.
Can't do it. Many days to Daytona's Biketoberfest 25. 196.
196. Oh yeah. So that could wrap up our rallies. Still have Mecum auction to do, not Mecum. SEMA show.
Yes.
Unless somebody decides to send us.
No, that's during SEMA.
I know, that's what I said. That unless somebody.
No.
I have to have a motorcycle, I have to have a place to stay, and airline tickets to get there. Skip SEMA.
10 and they cut you off now. Oh, there you are again. We'll be in Leesburg on the 24th. Okay, Phil, we'll see you there.
And so any of you that want to see us at any of the rallies, you need to email us right here.
Unless we already have your number.
Yeah. We already got your phone number. Don't worry about it. I mean, you got our phone number. That's the key, our phone number. And what you do is don't call us, text us. Texts show up all the time. Phone calls don't. We don't know for a year later that you called. So we can call you once we get your phone number. We can call you and talk to you. If we know your call's coming in, we don't usually leave the volume up. And plus, you're riding on bikes. She's got them thrown in the back of the bike. You're not going to hear the phones ring anyway. You can call my number, but I don't answer my.
He doesn't have his ringer on. He never knows when his phone goes off.
Yeah.
So email us and we'll switch contact information, and that way
then
we can get a hold of you.
And don't ever hesitate to
if you
contact
see us out
us.
and about.
The other thing is, as long as we don't have a camera up and we're talking
to somebody.
But I mean, if I'm just walking around with the camera, that's B-roll. You can come up and talk to me. Actually, you'll hear on some of the videos at Willie's Chopper Time show. I was actually talking to
Harley
One Forever and
Easy.
Yeah, I was actually talking to them in the middle of the video, which wasn't real good for me because I had to kind of quiet it down a little bit. But I never know. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. As long as we're not doing an interview with somebody, if we're standing at Knuckle Saloon and you see us talking to one of the owners there, then no, don't interrupt it there. But it usually doesn't take very long unless we're doing something for one of our sponsors. If I'm doing something for All About Customs or doing something for Speeds or something like that, then we're setting it up. Like we did one a couple years ago when they put my digital gauges in, and a subscriber kept coming up, and then we probably were there an hour or more getting this all videotape done, and ended up he couldn't wait any longer and he left. We waved to him, but that was about all we could do.
And we tried to look for him after we left, but he was
Already
on.
gone.
We couldn't find him.
So he
one of
missed
the
out.
two.
And I think he wrote and said he had to go meet somebody, and he never ran into it. So never feel that you don't. We had somebody else that seen us at New Smyrna. We were at a bar sitting on the deck, and another YouTuber, actually said, "Hey, I seen you guys, but I didn't want to bother you." We were with another set of subscribers, and it's not a big deal to come up to us, and we'll introduce you to who we're with, and not a big deal.
We're on tonight, Mike.
It's nothing wrong with just saying hi, and hey, we'll give you a sticker, and
always stop and we'll give you a sticker.
And so, yes, I hear more stories when people say, "Oh man, I seen you guys, but I didn't want to bother you." This is what we do. You're not bothering us. What we do.
We're here for you guys. How about that? Put it that way.
The only difference is I do not go to where you're at. You call me up and say you're in Sturgis, and you're like, "Hey man, I'm out here at Custer State Park. Will you come out here and we want to ride with you to Custer?" And we're like, "No, that ain't gonna happen."
And they didn't speak any English. The Australians that we saw at Willie's. Yeah, they were all excited to see me, and they're like, "Oh, movies." They didn't speak much English. I would talk to them, and they were like,
"Well," I came up after the fact, and I talked to them and said,
"Oh,
bunch of stuff."
And I'm like, "They don't speak English."
They were nodding.
So it must translate for them when they're watching, I guess. I don't know.
Well, they can put it down. You can put down. They read it. What we say, so it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I got it set to go in any language. I'm not. I don't care. Got people things from Iran and Iraq and Africa, Russia, Australia and Germany, and it's to me it's cool. It's cool that people, like somebody else wrote the other day, that they wish they could come, but something happened when they were a kid. Wasn't really a felony, but that won't allow them to come to the United States. But keep watching the videos. We'll keep showing you what you're missing.
Night, Julie. Left and to go.
But we don't have nothing on my record.
Clean-
PSA, we have
clean
gun cards,
slate.
passports.
Believe it or not.
They know about. Never got caught.
They would run our records. They would probably think, "Oh, we have bugging."
How long have we been on?
3 hours and 2 minutes.
Holy smokes, I'm keeping up with the monkey.
All right, say goodnight. Says 48, and we were up to 59. So
say goodnight. All righty. We appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us tonight at the shop. Didn't get to go out and show you around the shop.
Dark now.
Yeah, I got my lights put up outside yet. And here I got lights, but in the shop I don't have any.
Never caught me, Steven.
So we'll see what all happens. It'll be pretty exciting. We'll probably have another live next Sunday, unless we go early to Arizona Bike Week. I'll have to look quick, see if our camping site's available. I'm not going to go with our camping site. We already got to move. Already won. Over there, we're there 2 days and we got to move, and the rest of the time we're in. Checkouts at noon. You have to be in noon would be or sooner. So 2 days. Same campground. We're real close to. So if you're going to Arizona Bike Week, you should be emailing us right now and saying, "Hey, we're going to be there. Check us out." We'll be there with Larry from Bug Slide. He's going to be around, hanging out with him some of the time. So if you know him, every once in a while does something for Bug Slide. Not very often, sometimes. And don't tell who else we might get. A lot of the bartenders and barmaids and stuff that are all at Karen's always down there with her crew and stuff. They're all down there at the hideout.
Neil says they're cutting our audio off. Your sound is really breaking up.
All right. We'll wrap it up.
Good night.
Bye.